Hello, everybody.
Kind of
Hello,
tastes like
hello, hello.
tangy feet, peach vibe.
Did you say it tastes like tangy feet?
Yeah, a little bit. Like just picture someone's feet tangy. That's what this like. It shouldn't be called peach vibe. It should be just called tangy feet. Tangy feet actually could be like a banging flavor.
It sounds more like a band to me, like some 90s alternative rock band that was actually kind of good.
I can get down with like yeah, yo. You remember that song like 1997, Tangy Feet?
That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Bro,
Oh,
bro, let's not bury the lead here, man. You called it. You called it.
thank you,
You
thank
called
you,
the Trump dub.
thank you. I mean, not for nothing. I I should have been, I think, even more confident in how I was explaining it because obviously hindsight's 2020, Monday quarterback, whatever that shit is called or whatever. Now that we know the results, the way I was explaining it was just like everywhere I went, it was just Trump, 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 and in front of people's houses is not one banner; it's like 17 banners. And driving upstate New York, um, it's not even just a billboard. It's like hay barrels with the word Trump put into it. It's like the most obscure shit you can see. I saw it was Donald Trump inflatables, like stuff you never saw before that like made me think people are going above and beyond for this guy. And that's not just them. Like I'm driving past it every single day, you know, in like people who don't know who they're voting for are driving past that every day. Like Kamala Sanders, Kamala Harris voters are driving past that every day. So like it's not just me, it's they're putting out advertisements for this dude everywhere. And that's all I saw. So like for people to not think like this dude didn't have a crazy base still like going hard for him are kind of wilding because it was all the signs were there. And even going back and like them trying to, there was a couple videos I saw of them like panning the audience of the crowd, and it was like, oh, his rally sizes are smaller, and I was like, they're fucking not. Like they're still insanely packed, and they would show like the long story short is if your eyes are telling you something, believe that shit because there were no billboards, there was nothing for Kamala, and all the signs were pointing towards him. And I kept leaning on you, and I was like, yo, even like um on election night, I was like, are
Election
we
night.
good? And you're like, yeah, like, and I was like, this has the same exact feeling as when he won last time. I was like going to bed, and I was like, I'm gonna fall asleep, and he's gonna wake up, and I'm gonna have some text, and it's gonna be like, yo. And I went to bed. I woke up, and Molly was like, "This country," and I was just like, "Did he win?" Like, and it was deja vu.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, 2020 also felt at the beginning of the night like Trump was going to win. I remember I was on Rogan
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, they were like, oh, he's going to win, right? And I was like, I'm telling you, I read those articles about the Red Mirage. No matter, it's going to look like they're up big. And then the more mail in votes come in, the more the Democrats rise and rise and rise. But the problem was, it wasn't as big of a disparity this time with the mail-in votes and the in-person votes because the last time when the last election happened, it was 2020 and COVID was going on.
Right.
So like almost every Democrat voted by mail because they don't want to fucking get COVID.
Right.
And Republicans are like YOLO on COVID. They don't give a fuck. So a lot of them showed up in person to vote. And so the discrepancy was huge in 2020.
Yeah.
And this time it wasn't that huge. But to your point, man, like where you live now is more suburban.
Mm-hmm.
Where you lived before was more in the country. So if you told me back then, oh yeah, I see a lot of Trump signs, it's like, yeah, whatever. But that's going to be the case in the country. I live in the country. I know that's true.
Yeah.
But this time where you live is actually not. It's more suburbs.
Yeah.
And it's more a place that should kind of be pro Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
And to see more Trump shit there, yeah, shit, man.
But also, I mean, like I travel the country too. Like I have driven through Pennsylvania. I've driven, like I was in Arizona. All these swing states. I don't think I was in Michigan. Kind of fuck Michigan. There's nothing going on over there. But like, all these swing states I've kind of been in and seen the same shit, and it's the same. Someone said it. It was like, oh, Trump just like simplifies his message and he makes it
Yeah.
very easy to understand the points that he's talking about. Like literally I was driving and there was a sign that said Kamala crime, Trump safety. And I was just like that you like if you don't understand that sign, then you're a dummy. And it's not anything too complicated that you have to like think about. You got to be like, oh, I don't know what she's talking about. I just think the Democrats sometimes like overcomplicate shit and want to make it all like scientific and use big words and do all these fancy like I'm wearing, like I'm gonna simplify, like here's what they're talking about and I'm gonna break it down for you in 7 steps. It's like it's not that complicated. Just say easy words that we understand, and that resonated with a lot of people. And to be fair, like he says shit that kind of like a lot of people agree with. It's not like he's saying some like, yes, he says like some outlandish wild shit, but like he says a lot of stuff that people like just everyday people agree with. And I mean, I don't know, like it kind of it didn't surprise me that he won. And people are like
I was shocked.
Really? Like
I'll tell you why. Because in 2016 I wasn't shocked.
Mhm.
In fact, I remember when I made my prediction video, I had kept going back and forth. Like, should I say Trump's going to win or should I say Hillary's going to win? Should I say Trump? And this was at a time when the pollsters were like, there's a 98% chance Hillary Clinton is going to win.
Yeah.
And back then I was like, he's running a really good campaign where he's hitting Hillary on being corrupt and talking about how she outsourced your jobs and I'm going to protect your jobs and I'm going to fight the establishment. And so back then I was like, I kind of think he could win, but I still gave it to Hillary by like a tiny amount. But then this time, Corin, I just thought he said too much crazy ass shit. Like he was talking about Arnold Palmer's dick. He was talking about Mike Tyson getting in the ring with Kamala. He was talking about they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs.
Yep.
And I was watching this like, first of all, he's already been president for 4 years and everybody knows that didn't go well.
Yeah.
So he's not an outsider anymore. And now he just seems desperate and crazy and he keeps denying the last election and acting like he won even though everybody knows he didn't win. And I was just thinking that plus the fact that I thought Kamala's campaign was way better than Hillary Clinton's campaign, I was convinced she was going to win.
But that's where I kind of was like, one, and like put women aside, all this stuff. Like, I don't think she was a good candidate. Like, there was a reason why nobody voted for her when she ran. What was it, 2020?
Yeah, 2020.
So like, there's a reason why no one voted for her, and then like she didn't earn the nomination. Like it was just handed to her. There was no like, and I kind of disagree. Like I was like looking back on her, on just what she didn't do anything that wowed me. It's not like she was doing crazy stunts. Like Trump, for what it was worth, like Kamala could have went to like Wendy's the next day and put some fries up. Like she didn't do anything wild that was like newsworthy, crazy to be like, wow, she's in a garbage truck. Like she didn't do anything that was like, like if you got Taylor Swift's endorsement, go to Taylor Swift's concert and get on stage with her or some shit. Like, don't just invite Beyonce to your rally. Like, do something wild. Like, if she would have went on the last couple tour stops with Taylor Swift, she probably could have got all their votes. She didn't do any stuff like that.
Yeah, my problem was I was too focused on policy. Like I was in my own head on policy, and when Kamala was like, we're going to do a $6,000 child tax credit, I was like, okay, oh shit. And then she was like, we're going to ban price gouging for groceries. And I was like, okay. And then she picked Tim Walz, who in my opinion is the best governor in the country. And he did a lot of great things like free school breakfast and lunch for kids and paid family leave and paid sick leave. And I was like, okay. Like, okay, yes, there were some things she did that I thought were bad, like campaigning with Liz Cheney. I thought was a horrible idea.
That was so bad. And they made that lady seem like a queen.
I know, and that was really bad in retrospect.
Yeah.
But I thought overall, like, I think she did enough to sort of get by. Maybe it wouldn't have been enough in 2016 if it was against Trump, but this time I thought it was. And then when that, what really fucked me, Corin? That Iowa poll that came out.
Yeah, I remember. Because I was like, yo, are we good?
Bro. Because that poll has never been off by more than like 4 points or 5 points. And even if it was off by 5 points, that would have been a great election for Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
And then that shit was 16 points off, dog.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm always skeptical, and I've always said this, of where people are getting their reviews from. You know, like who's filling out surveys, where are they getting their data of like who in Iowa is filling out something where that poll was that wrong? You know, like who?
Apparently, only liberals were answering the poll. Apparently,
That's what I'm
because
saying, and maybe they had
yeah,
like 7 liberals that filled it out. You know, like 7 Democrats, and it skewed the numbers like insane. It's just like it didn't surprise me, and like I kind of I'm on the team of like I don't know if I can even say this, but it's like I think we'll survive 4 years of Trump. Like I think we'll be fine. um I don't know who will run in 2028 or whatever like that, but like I'm more worried not about what he'll do as president for 4 years, which probably will be bad because he has the Senate too, right? He's got like all the shit.
he's got the Senate, he's got the House, but the margin in the House is not crazy big, but it's still bad. It's Republican across the board.
I'm worried that his legacy, his name is gonna be like a Bush. It's gonna be like a JFK, where like I hope his kids
Yeah,
don't
no,
now,
that's
become.
the thing to be worried about, bro. I was thinking the same shit. Back in the day, me and Crystal had this argument, and I was like, there's no fucking way in hell that Donald Trump Jr. could become president. No way. He's got a horrible personality.
I don't think it'll be him.
And he doesn't have the charisma and the charm like his dad.
No.
But now looking at the way the Republicans act, I don't think it matters if they're not charismatic or whatever. Because you're right. Now they think about Trump as a dynasty that they actually like.
Yeah.
The Bush dynasty fell out of favor, right? Like there were other dynasties. The Clintons fell out of favor. But the way the Republicans think about Trump is like, bro, the dumbest, ugliest Trump can win. And they just be like, hey, it's a Trump. I'm voting for that Trump. And that shit is fucking scary, bro. That shit is scary.
And I think they're kind of, well, Barron is too young, but Don Jr., I don't think he's, yeah, to your point, has like the charisma, has like I mean, like maybe Ivanka or someone, but there's someone in the family that will like keep that name alive as long as Trump's alive. So if he's alive in 2028 and still like the figurehead of that family, they'll put somebody up that people will vote for just because his name.
Right now is probably J.D. Vance, his running mate. They probably picked him to be the heir apparent because
that guy's horrible.
He is horrible. Yeah, but again, it's like, are you just going to coast off of your connection to Trump? In the past, I would have said this is not possible. Now looking at it, I'm like, that's the most logical path for them, is to just coast off Trump shit.
That's the one argument that I kind of like, I think people are lying to themselves about. And that I think they won't win on. If they try to put the guy J.D. Vance up, because I heard Rogan say this and a bunch of other people are trying to say that like he comes across as normal and he seems just like an average guy. He's the most awkward guy. And it showed, like the one situation that I remember is just that donut shop.
Yep.
Is like, that is him just not able to connect with someone, not able to just read the room, read the situation, be like, this girl just really just wants to get me my donut. She doesn't care who I am. And the fact that Rogan was like, he seems like a down to earth, normal guy, everyday person, is like, nah, you're lying on that.
Yeah, he's cucked to those people. He said he was texting them on election night. He said this in a recent podcast. He was texting with J.D. Vance and Tulsi Gabbard and all these fucking assholes.
Yeah, that and I'm kind of not convinced that I'm not on the train of like, because he went on Rogan, that like pushed him over the edge. I think he was going to win regardless of if he got the Rogan endorsement or not.
But it helped.
It definitely helped. But I think all of Rogan's listeners were going to go Trump anyway. And it's not like, I don't know, maybe going forward, because I think now that there's more, they're talking about Rogan more in more of a mainstream, like CNN, like TV, like news outlet, that more of your everyday mom and dad will be like, oh, who do Rogan endorse? But like, I don't think there was enough time for him and when the podcast came out and his endorsement to move the needle that much. But they do have to find someone like Rogan, the Democrats, that can be that voice to propel up any candidates for 2028. But I think we're still too far along that they might win one more time and we won't win until the next shit.
Well, so that gets to the argument I've been making now, because I've come to the conclusion that Democrats not only have to have good policy, like Bernie type policy.
I don't even think the
but,
policy matters, to be honest.
Well, yeah, you know what? You're not wrong, because I mean, Trump is literally like an authoritarian fascist.
Yes.
He just won, right? So, like, I kind of agree with you that the policy is not nearly as important as we would like it to be. But having said that, since I want to just make the country better for people, I want there to be good policy.
Yeah.
But what I want, though, it has to be in the package of somebody who's really charismatic, but also really fucking controversial. Because controversy, this is now an ironclad conclusion I've come to. Controversy is good, period. It's just good. Like, it just helps you because it gets eyeballs on. They could not keep the camera off of Trump
100%.
since motherfucking 2015. The camera has always been in his face. There's been a trillion news stories written about him, most of them negative.
Yep.
But it didn't matter, because if they're talking about you, they're talking about you. And for every one person they get to hate you, 2 other people are like, actually, I kind of like that shit.
Yep.
And this country is obsessed with celebrity.
Yep.
So the thing I've been saying now, and I'm curious what you think about this, although I think I know what you'll probably say about it, is like, and I'm serious, I think Jon Stewart needs to run in 2028. I think Jon Stewart needs to run, and because he's the perfect mix, right? He's both charismatic, funny, but also he's controversial. Sometimes he says shit where people are like, oh, John, you can't say that, you know? And it's like, that's what we need.
Yeah.
We need somebody like that on our side, like somebody who's an arrogant asshole for us.
Yeah.
And I think he would take off like wildfire.
I don't mind the Jon Stewart selection choice thing. I don't think he's like self-centered enough to be president.
But we need him. We need him. We got to force him.
No, he'd be good. I wish he had a little bit of like The Rock wouldn't be good, but The Rock, I feel like, is so into himself and not worried by noise, and doesn't wouldn't respond to like certain things that ticked him off, or like I feel like Jon Stewart would hear something that would piss him off, and he would like stay on it, and it would kind of throw off his campaigning a little bit.
Anytime somebody says something negative about Trump, he does like 15 tweets against them and starts bringing them up every time he talks. And it's just like, he just annihilates anybody who gets in his way.
That's true.
We can do the same shit.
Yeah.
We can do the same shit. The other one that kind of makes sense to me, but for ideological reasons, I don't want it, is Stephen A. Smith. And Stephen A. Smith just flirted with running. The reason I don't want him is because I listen to his podcast quite a bit, and he really is just like a standard centrist Democrat. Like he talks about like, wokeness is really bad, and he talks about we need to strengthen the border, and it's like he'll say the right shit about Republicans, but then when it comes to what he actually believes in, it's very lazy. It's just like, standard shit that you'd expect. Whereas Jon Stewart is genuinely thoughtful, and he's actually on the left, like he would do shit that's good,
Yeah. The thing about Steve, like, I think you still need to, as much as Trump doesn't know about politics, he still knows about business. He still knows how to, even if his companies weren't successful, he still knows, I think, like how to run an operation. I don't think I think Stephen A. Smith, as I thought Kamala would be, I thought she would be like in over her head if she got the position. A Stephen A. Smith, even if he appointed the right people around him, which I don't think he knows any of the political people to like put around him. Like, he'd have Max Kellerman be like his like head of defense or something because he like knows boxing. But like Jon Stewart would be good because I feel like knows at least the way things work. I feel like you still have to have an understanding of business, of how companies are run. Like Stephen A. Smith to me is like, he's good at talking, he's good at debating, but Jon Stewart would be a good one. I think The Rock, is who they're going to try and push on us because they think they have to go the route of someone who's a celebrity that's super popular. But The Rock, I don't think,
and they're never running a woman again, bro. My Crystal said this to me. I've had other people say to me that like, no matter what they say publicly, like Democrats will still be like, yeah, women, yeah, but like they are never going to run another woman again as a Democrat because Hillary lost and now Kamala lost. And so the conventional wisdom now in Democratic Party circles, among voters too, but also among the elites, they're like, we just lost twice trying to get a female president. We're not going to try that shit again. when there is a first female president, it'll almost definitely be a Republican. It'll be a conservative Republican woman.
You don't. What are the chances like AOC like can get propped up by the Democratic Party to like be a candidate?
Very low. Because look, and this is the problem, like with the Democrats, is they have a really rigid hierarchy within the party.
Yeah.
And the party is run by the old Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton guard.
Yeah.
It's still those same people who are the same consultants, the same staffers. It's the same ideological project. It ran through from Hillary all the way up until today.
Yeah.
Even with Obama and Biden, they're part of that same ideology and that same framework and that same grouping of people. And anybody who steps outside of their boundaries, even 1%, is their ideological enemy. So this is why you saw when Bernie took off in 2016, they smeared the shit out of him. They called him sexist. They called him racist.
Yep. That's what's throwing me off now is like, they're still picking on Bernie, you know, like, and kind of
Bernie came out and said some real shit and threw them under the bus. And so then in return, they're trying to throw him back under the bus. But Bernie used this opportunity of Kamala losing to basically be like, he pulled a Kendrick Lamar. I can go further, I promise. Like, you motherfuckers got to go further. This is the problem, is you don't speak to working class people. And he's got a point. Like, that's not to say Biden didn't do some good things on the economy. That's not to say that Kamala didn't have some good proposals. She did. But the problem with the Democrats is they're technocrats. They're like, hey, here's the system. We'll make some tweaks. And then don't worry, everything's good. Look, the GDP is going up. Look, the stock market is going up. So you're good, right? You're good. They don't have a narrative. Whereas Republicans, Trump has a narrative. This is kind of what you were saying earlier. Trump's like, you know what the problem is? The problem is the fucking immigrants. They're the problem. They're the reason your wages are low. They're the reason your healthcare sucks. They're taking all the welfare. It's the fucking immigrants are the problem. And we got to call that out, and we got to do some shit about that. We're going to deport those motherfuckers. The other problem is the cultural elites and like Hollywood and the Democrats. They're the problem. These are the problem. The deep state. This is the problem, and I'm going to fight those motherfuckers. That's his message. The Democrats don't have a narrative. No. Bernie had a narrative, which is why he took off and why he was super popular. Bernie was very clear. He's like, the problem is Wall Street and the billionaires and the big money donors, and they buy our government to do their bidding. We're going to fucking fight them. We're going to make sure to raise your wages. Bernie makes it so that he's the main protagonist in a story, and his voters are fighting evil, right? Whereas Kamala, again, even though I think she didn't run a horrible campaign, but her whole thing is, here's some like tweaks I would make to the system. Vote for me. And it's like, that doesn't do it.
No.
That doesn't do it. And Bernie's things, again, to your point, Bernie's shit was simple. Bernie's shit is universal health care, Medicare for all. We're going to give you all health care. And it's like, look, again, I'm not trying to downplay how important it is to do a $6,000 child tax credit, but it's a tax credit. Like, that's not some transformational ass thing like Bernie was talking about. And that's his point, is like, if you guys want to win, wakey, we just lost working class voters to Donald Trump. So obviously you got to serve these working class voters and make them feel like, you know, you actually give a shit about them. Yeah. And even like they had these like COVID social safety net programs that really helped people during COVID, but then they all went away. We had a child tax credit that was extended, and then it went away. And exactly when it went away is exactly when Biden's numbers tanked. His numbers were high when he was helping people and through the pandemic, but then as soon as those programs went away and as soon as they started doing austerity, all of a sudden, boom, gone. Like the support just evaporated.
Yeah, it's wild that they're still going against Bernie, and the fact that like he was so popular, he was so right about everything. The fact that like he was reaching out to like you and Crystal before like podcasting was a thing. Like he was so ahead of his time on everything that he was doing that we're so far behind trying to catch up on all that shit now that it was like, couldn't you see that this guy was so right about everything to like just trust him and go with him? Instead, they're just going to keep picking a fight with him to make him look like the crazy person, when in reality, it's like he's the one who's right.
So some people, to my surprise, some people who you wouldn't expect are actually saying, yeah, he was kind of right. So there's this Democratic Senator, Chris Murphy, very like corporate type Democrat, definitely more like Hillary Clinton than like Bernie. But he did this long tweet thread where he was like, yeah, Bernie was kind of right. And when he called out the elites, everybody shit on him. But the reason you were shitting on him is because you want more donor money, and our voting base is now higher income. So you don't want to shit on those people.
Yeah.
There was that dude. There was this conservative writer for the New York Times named David Brooks. He said the same shit. He was like, hey, I like the Kamala campaign. She ran really moderate. I like that, but maybe I was just wrong, and maybe we need like Bernie Sanders style politics in order to win. There was Jen Psaki, who used to be
with the red hair.
press secretary, she came out and said, look, you guys modeled a campaign to go after never Trump Republicans, and who you should have been going after is the working class voters who left the Democratic Party. That's who you should have focused on. That's saying Bernie was right in so many ways. There were some segments on MSNBC and CNN where people said the right thing, but that's counterbalanced with more people saying, no, Bernie's wrong, and you're the problem. You know what they say, Corey? This is what they say. They go, you know what the problem is? Democrats are too woke. They're too woke, and they care too much about cultural issues and social issues, and that's what's fucking them over. And what's so crazy about that argument is Kamala Harris didn't talk at all about those issues. On the border, she agreed with Trump. She was like, look, we did a right-wing border bill, and you blocked it. We're in favor of shutting down the border. You're not in favor of shutting down the border. She did that. She, of course, was going around the country with Liz Cheney. She never mentioned trans people the entire fucking campaign. She ran on, freedom and patriotism, and people had USA flags at the fucking DNC. She never, ever mentioned her race or her gender, never talked about, political correctness or cancel culture or anything like that. None of that. None of that. And they still said, oh, yeah, you're too woke. It's like, what fucking planet are you living on?
That's why it's kind of to me, the Democrats kind of they kind of got what they deserve. It's they need to look in the mirror, and it's to a point where it's maybe the party is all fucked up, where you need to break it all up. Nancy Pelosi, see you later. All these people who are in the party that were supposed to be the good guys, are getting exposed, and they're not good people. They weren't good leaders. Maybe we weren't in the right party. So it's time to look in the mirror. It's time to kind of say, hey, we need to break this whole thing up and start fresh, start with new people, or else they'll lose again. Because isn't history weren't the Republicans back in the day the party that Democrats kind of were supposed to be? Weren't they for the working people and all this stuff? And it kind of has come back around where now Republicans are supposedly helping working class people.
So, yeah, there were a couple, what's called a political realignment, and that happened a couple times in American history. There was a time when Southern Democrats were the racists, but then that all changed with the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act when Lyndon Johnson, a Democrat, signed those bills to give black people rights. Basically, all those Southern Democrats, they called them Dixiecrats, they became Republicans. Okay. And so there has been some political realignments. But the thing is, I agree with you about cleaning house, but the problem is there's literally a whole giant industry in politics. So there's all these staffers and consultants that work for Democrats, and these are the same people who've worked for fucking 30 years in Washington on these campaigns. And they all get paid no matter what the fuck happens. Oh, so really? Kamala loses, and it's not like they go, okay, your advice sucked, we're not paying you. They still get paid their money for giving all the wrong advice and driving her campaign into the ground. And then you have Nancy Pelosi is the number one fundraiser for Democrats. That's how she became a leader. And she's always going to have those money connections. And so in order for Democrats to actually make a clean break, it literally would require them putting up the middle finger to their own donor base. And that's what they would never do because we've allowed money in politics. And by the way, I don't want to let the Republicans off the hook. Yes, Donald Trump won, but he's already doing standard Republican shit. He's already talking about tax cuts for businesses and deregulation. He put a corporate lobbyist in as his chief of staff. He put some Iran war hawk in to staff the State Department.
Did someone from Iran try to have a plot, 3 guys to kill him or something again?
So me personally, this is what I think. I think that's fake news. Really? I think they're literally using that to try to prod Trump into wanting to do war with Iran.
Wow. That would be wild.
Yeah, I know, but this is what's been going on. They've wanted war with Iran forever, the neocons have, and they think we could use Trump's narcissism, use this against him to try to get him to do the war with Iran.
It's so wild that they use tactics like I use with my kids when I'm trying to get them to take a picture. I'm like, don't smile, and then they'll smile. So literally they're like, hey, these guys from Iran, they were trying to kill you, man.
Trying to kill you, bro.
We got pictures of guns. He's like, wait, really?
Yeah.
Kill them all.
That's exactly what's happening.
That's crazy.
The Republican Party is broken too, But the difference is they were able to hoodwink people better because Trump made them feel like it's. Look, here's the thing: Trump's anger gets people to vote for him.
Yeah.
Like I thought he said so much crazy shit, they're going to hold it against him. He's not going to win. No, it turns out the fact that he was like super angry and vindictive and vengeful, and he wants retribution and revenge. People looked at that like, yo, I'm pissed the fuck off, and he's pissed off. I'm going to vote for the guy who's pissed off. Maybe he'll bring big change. This is what they're thinking.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, he's going to bring big change, but it's going to be in the wrong direction. It's going to be like your wages are going to go down. Your healthcare is going to go away. Everything's going to get fucked up even more. There's going to be more war, right? So that's the problem, man. But yeah, the Democrats, shit. The only upside of this is we really are in a moment where it's more up in the air than it's ever been, right? Like, it might take, Crystal made this point. She's like, and this is, you kind of made this point too. They might need one more big loss before it's really like, okay, all right, okay, we can't keep going this way. But my guess is, because this is kind of what history shows us, is that everything ebbs and flows. Everything is a pendulum. It goes back and forth.
Yeah.
And like where Democrats are right now is exactly where Republicans were in 2012. In 2012, after Obama won his second term, Republicans were just totally fucking like, what do we do? We don't even know how we can't fucking win. FDR won 4 times. The Republicans did term limits because he wouldn't stop fucking winning. And Democrats held 80% of the House and the Senate because, you know, they got us through the Great Depression and did the New Deal and were super popular. So my guess is, I have no doubt, Trump's already fucking it up. At some point, his approval rating is going to plummet like crazy. And then it's very possible. This is my fear, though. My fear is, since Trump is going to fuck it up so bad, in 4 years, the next election will just be a swing election back in the other direction. But that means that any fucking Tom, Dick, or Harry Democrat they throw up there is going to win, and then he might be the same sort of shit that we've always had, which is status quo bullshit. And we don't need status quo bullshit anymore. We need some real shit.
Well, that's why I think, to Gristle's point, I personally think this isn't rock bottom yet. I think in 4 more years, I think the Democrats are gonna have the mindset of like, we got to put up this celebrity type of person, and they'll pick the wrong person,
right?
And
yeah,
lose,
I can see that.
You know, so like we're all gonna be like, yo, Jon Stewart's the guy. Like, he's getting a little old. Put him in now, and they'd be like, we're gonna pick
Carrot Top.
someone like Jimmy Kimmel or some dumb like. Just,
oh my god, yeah.
They're gonna do someone that you're just like, you have the right idea, but like you're just still not listening, and it's the wrong person. They'll lose to whoever. We'll go into like a Great Depression. Like, it'll be bad. Like, and then everyone will be like, damn, let's try the Democrats out now one more time. And then whoever they like, then it'll be Jon Stewart, but it'll be super old and not the same kind of Jon Stewart. Like, it's, to your point, it's just a cycle. Like, it's like, get the guy while he still has a little bit of a brain. So I think, to Crystal's point, I think it's going to be, they're going to try and do it. They're going to put the wrong, like, they'll put Oprah up and be like, hey, guys, we listened to you. Like, she's a black woman. She's a celebrity. She has her own TV show. She's popular. She won't win. And then the whole world will be like on, if we even make it that far. Cause like, I'm close to New Jersey. There's like wildfires here. Like, it smells like fire outside when I go outside. And it's like, I'm worried that we won't even make it to 8 more in 8 years, you know? And that's coming from a guy with 4 daughters. So like the global warming stuff is way more real than like, what do we text about? Like, we go outside and it's like 70 degrees still. It's like almost December.
It's so crazy, bro. I mean, literally, it was like 75 degrees the other day. It was almost 80 degrees recently here. I'm south of you, so it's a little more understandable. But yeah, it's like what are we even doing, bro? Like, what are we even doing here? Did you see Jon Stewart's reaction to Kamala losing? Did you see that?
I saw some of it. He put out a video.
It was like a 3-minute video. Did you watch that?
I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't think. Like, kind of refresh me on it.
This is why I want him to run. It was so pitch perfect. He basically was like, look, I know you're feeling down, but here's the reality. Everything the pundits have ever said always turns out to be wrong. And he plays clips of like, moments after one team loses and the other team is trying to set the record straight and fix it or whatever. Mm-hmm. And they're just wrong. Like, Bill O'Reilly in 2012 was like, Republicans are going to have to make clear that Latinos are welcome into our tent and welcome into our party. We'll never win unless we do that. And then cut to 2016, Trump in his launch speech is like, they're criminals, they're rapists. I assume some are good people. And then he fucking won. And then after Trump won, they were like, yeah, we just need a new generation of Democrats, like younger Democrats, and then we'll win. Cut to Biden ends up getting inaugurated, fucking 1,000 years old. Every time the pundits say something after an election, nobody knows. Like, nobody knows what the fuck is going to happen. Nobody knows who's actually going to be the one. Nobody knows what's really going to unfold. And that, like, watching that made me feel like, damn, he's right. Like, you know, we're sitting here and we're feeling shitty, but at the same time, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. Trump could have a fucking heart attack tomorrow for all we know.
Yeah.
You know? Like, we don't know what the fuck is going to happen. So we need some humility, but, I mean, I just want him to run, man.
Well, it's just sad that
the perfect mix.
The same people that they put on TV, like, I'm so tired of hearing people that just suck off the Democratic Party. Like, Bakari Sellers is still on TV, and I'm like, you're not going to get any real, like, response from these guys. Like, get you on there, get Crystal on there, get, like, that guy Hassan Piker on there or something like that. Like, people who are actually, like, in tap with the left and not, like, the Hillary Clinton left. Because it's like,
yeah, I think they're interested now too. By the way, I think they're interested now.
That,
yeah,
like,
Crystal was talking to somebody, and it was a dude who's like an agent for somebody else, and he was like prodding, like, "Hey, would you be interested in coming back on CNN or not CNN, MSNBC?" So I think, like, in a moment like this where everything is just absolutely shattered, they are a little more open to be like,
well, they should be, because
somebody.
I mean, they should be, because to the whole Rogan, Tony Hinchcliffe, like, I had a lady who was, older lady, gotta be like 75, mentioned, like, Tom Papa to me. And I was like, the only way she would know Tom Papa is, like, through Rogan. Or she was like, there was this guy I was watching Netflix and it was Tom Papa. It was very funny. And I was like, if people are, like, finding out about these, like, comedian, you know, podcaster, you know, bro type people, then the left needs to come around, and, like, MSNBC should start embracing, accepting, like, new media to come on and at least say their piece, you know, and, like, at least challenge some of these people that have been on there forever. Like, get some new voices, get some new blood, because that's the only way that you're gonna get an older head to, like, kind of change their thinking.
Yeah, and it sucks too, because Rogan was a good example. Rogan, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is, he really did represent sort of like a 50-50 type shit, right? Like, he was sort of like an independent or like a apolitical dude. He'd have some right-wing guests on, some left-wing guests on, and have some dude on to talk about, like, Sasquatch or some shit. Like, that was his podcast, right? And it was this very, like, open thing where long-form conversations and people saying interesting shit, and everybody was interested in it. And it's a shame too, because over time, like, he has slowly but surely just morphed into a standard Republican.
Well, I mean, it's also just wild though that, like, last election he had you and Tim Dillon on. Now he just had Tim Dillon, so it's just them two sucking each other off, where he could have had you on there, and, like, the numbers were some of his best numbers. Like, it was like one of his highest performing shows was the election night one, when you three were on there. So it was like, and this happened to him when he was, like, all messed up with the vaccine stuff. Like, he had to come out afterwards and then put, like, facts or, like, put a little community notes thing in his podcast to kind of say, you know, like, verify that he wasn't actually, like, this wasn't factual shit or whatever. Like, he needs a differing voice or a differing opinion, and he just doesn't have that anymore. He doesn't have, like, left-wing people come on to say, hey, you know, that's batshit crazy. Here's why. So someone listening could be like, okay, not everything he's saying is totally true.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, as of right now, he no longer agrees with people. Like, he just doesn't agree with people like us. And the reason he doesn't agree with people like us is because he's cocooned himself in a right-wing echo chamber where he has on, like, Ben Shapiro one day, and then the next day he has on some UFC fighter who happens to be right-wing, and then the next day he has on two edgy comedians who happen to be right-wing, and it's one after the other after the other. He also, you know, Dana White is his buddy, and Dana White is very right-wing and very close with Trump. Rogan said on his show the other day, like, people in my social circle were telling me like, yo, you got to endorse Trump. He said he had multiple people basically prodding him to endorse Trump. Dana White also prodded him to have Trump on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, when you're in an environment like that 24/7, where all you hear is one take over and over and over, even people who are relatively open-minded are going to succumb to that.
Yeah.
And they're going to feel like, well, everybody I know, everybody who I like, all my friends, all my family are all saying the same thing, that Donald Trump is based and Kamala Harris is terrible. So, yeah, whatever. He also said in 2016 or 2020, it had to be 2016, I think, that he endorsed Gary Johnson, the Libertarian candidate.
Yeah.
And he said, I did that because he came on my podcast. And then fast forward, Trump comes on his podcast, then he endorses Trump.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so
he endorsed Bernie kind of when he went on his podcast.
Right, yeah. And it just sucks that he's changed so much over the years. He's changed. He's just changed a lot.
Kind of playing devil's advocate too. And I was always skeptical of the guy, Elon Musk, but not for nothing. I feel like the shit he does is kind of like new age, takes us into like a different, he's trying new technology shit. Someone said it, Rogan might've said it. When I see a Tesla truck on the road, yeah, it looks silly, but it does look like some futuristic car shit. Like it definitely stands out where it's like, that looks like a different type of car. It looks newer. It looks more advanced. It looks like it's putting us in the new age. The same thing with like his rocket ships. I don't know what they do or where they're going, but the fact that they come back down and land in some holster shit is kind of impressive. If Kamala won, he wouldn't have been allowed to try shit in California. He wouldn't have been able to do shit in New York. Like, the guy, for what it's worth, does some innovative, cool shit. So if he's the one that kind of can like make a high-speed train for us from Chicago to New York and like do funky shit, like maybe Trump being president will allow for him to do some new age stuff that kind of takes us into a new era of like technology. Because with her, we would have been in the same shit of like Pete Buttigieg would have been our director of transportation or whoever the fuck that role is, and been like, yeah, we're still just trying things out and airplanes are doing well and this and that. Like, maybe if Elon's head of that shit, we're going to have some rocket ship that could take us from New York to California in 2 hours.
No, so he's a complete con man. Like, everything about him that you think you know is a total lie. He's just a liar. Like, he's just a total fraud. I've watched these YouTube videos on him from this science YouTuber named Thunderfoot, and he just goes into excruciating detail about all the times he committed fraud, all the times he robbed people, all the times he lied. Like, he did that thing, the Hyperloop. Do you remember what the Hyperloop was?
Was it the like, tunnels or some shit?
Yeah, it was like tunnels that have like this
I was like, what happened
transportation system.
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened to those is he fucking like robbed people for money and they never came to fruition. He also said, he said like 15 years ago, he was like, we'll be in Mars in 10 years. And 10 years passes, we're nowhere fucking closer to Mars. And any cool shit that comes out of those companies is not him. It's engineers. He's just a big PR asshole. He just gets his name in the news all the time. And he's sort of like Trump. Like, this is Trump. Trump's businesses went bankrupt 6 different times. He's not a good businessman. He got $400 million from his dad. He was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but he portrays himself as, I'm the big boss man, and I'm like the super successful guy, and the media ran with it, but it wasn't fucking true. It was just a lie. It's all branding. Like, Trump plays the boss man when he was on The Apprentice. That's a fucking actor. Like, that's a character. He's not actually successful as a businessman, and I swear to you, Elon Musk is the exact fucking same. And now he really, like, the mask is really ripped off now, because if you look at, like, his Twitter feed, it is literally like a 14-year-old 4chaner, just lie after lie, misinformation stuff, nonstop. And he's just like, it's literally all PR. It's all marketing. People think he's one of the smartest guys in the world. Go listen to him talk for an extended period. Go watch one of his episodes on Rogan. The dude is fucking retarded.
Yeah.
Like, he's an idiot. He's not smart. This is all fake. Everything about this is fake.
I agree. I don't think and I've said this, I don't think he is the mastermind. But whoever is building the shit, like, he's setting a standard where, like, I mean, like, I'm like, to me, a Tesla is dope. Like, I think it changed the industry on cars. So whoever invented that, whoever did it is now getting other car industries to be like, I got to change the look of my car. I got to do more electric type of cars. Like whoever is making the stuff and doing the technology shit. Yes, I agree with you that those tunnel things failed, but like, I feel like every company has some shit that failed.
No, but that's one of like 15 different examples of him saying he was going to do something and then not doing it and getting subsidies for it and lying to people over it. I'm telling you, if you were to watch these
I gotta
YouTube
see someone,
videos
because
on
even
it,
Trump, yes, failed. All his shit was bad. He's horrible. But like, you go to Chicago, he's still got a big ass building with his name on it. You go to New York, he's got multiple buildings with his name on it. So like, those are big skyscrapers.
A lot of those buildings, people pay him for the right to use his name. So even a lot of those buildings, it's bullshit. It's not even him. There are some that are him, but there's a lot of them are fucking not him. It's all branding, dude. It's all branding, and this is what convinces people.
I know. I'm just saying.
Like,
I would prefer. I'm just saying. I would prefer someone who at least is saying, "Yo, let's build a train." Like the shit that everybody thinks. Again, like someone who's like, "Yo, let's do a high-speed train. Our roads are terrible." Whereas we hear that from the Democrats, but nothing actually gets done. Like it's just like. Again,
they did pass the infrastructure bill, though. They did pass an infrastructure bill that includes.
But did that actually?
They also passed rural broadband and gave people in the sticks internet. That
the people
passed.
in the sticks. They need to go and get internet.
But also, like on the electric car shit, one of the things Trump is going to do on day one is try to scrap California's electric vehicle mandate, where it says, "Hey, by a certain year, all the new vehicles have to be electric." So, like. The idea of like, oh, they're going to be like innovative. Everything they want to do is the opposite of that. Trump wants to double down on, oil and natural gas and coal, and he doesn't want to do green technology or renewable technology. Like it's all branding. Like people look at somebody like Elon, they look at somebody like Trump and they think like, oh, they're really successful and really smart. They're really fucking not. They're two idiots. Like they really are idiots. All they care about is adulation and fame and money.
And I mean, yes, I agree. But back to even JFK, who I was joking on, the guy looks dumb, unhealthy. I mean, like fake
RFK?
tan.
Yeah, RFK, you mean.
RFK,
yeah.
Sorry, yes. JFK probably looks terrible now.
He doesn't exist anymore. He's dust.
No, I know. But again, and Molly says this about all the foods. Like I'm like, let's buy some Cheez-Its, let's buy fruit roll-ups. And she's like, do you know how much shit is in there? And Frosted Flakes and Fruit Loops has all this coloring and this and that. Like, he's kind of saying the same shit.
Yeah, but he's also just wrong about a lot of shit. Like, he's an anti-vaxxer. He just doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, he pretends like he's this expert who has a degree in all this fucking relevant shit. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have a fucking degree in that shit. Not at all. And by the way, this is where my real American side comes out. Like, motherfucker, you will pry these Cheez-Its from my cold, dead hands. Like,
I fuck with Cheez-Its too. That's why, like, he had
Cheez-Its? Nah, don't even tell. Oh, we're gonna change the color. Fuck off. Fuck you. He's pretending like he's doing stuff that's gonna help people. The other thing is, he's one of those idiots who's like, raw milk is better. They passed a bill. I think it was in Texas. It was in some red state. They passed a bill to legalize raw milk. So usually, milk
what is even raw milk?
So the milk that we have normally is pasteurized. Okay. And what that means is they do a process to it that gets rid of all like the bad shit in it, the germs, the viruses, the bacteria, etc.
The pastor comes in and
but there's this conspiracy. There's this conspiracy that raw milk is healthier. And so in some red state, they passed a bill to legalize raw milk again, and to celebrate, all the Republicans who voted to pass the bill drank a glass of raw milk.
Ugh.
They all got sick. That same day, they all got sick. This is the future RFK wants. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He's a fucking moron. He's an idiot. And now, by the way, here's a guy who was an environmentalist his whole life. He was big talking about the issue of climate change and saying, hey, we got to switch course here. This is going to be bad for the American people. Now he's a climate change denier. Now he doesn't talk about it. Now he teamed up with Donald Trump. Donald Trump called, climate change a Chinese hoax and says it's like a scam so that they can beat us when it comes to their economy. And he's going to work in that administration. He's just a fucking hack. He's a careerist. He wants power. He wants fame. He wants adulation. And he found a path to get it. But in the process, he's going to destroy all of our fucking health agencies. As bad as our health agencies are, and they're not great, he would make them way fucking worse. He would make it so they don't even care about fucking science. Crystal did a debate with him one time.
Oh, for
and
real?
after the debate, she wrote down one of the things she said. So she was like, I'm going to check that shit later. That doesn't sound right. After the debate, she looked it up. He completely and utterly misrepresented a fact for it to say the opposite of what it said. And I remember going through that and being like, wow, this guy's just a scummy fucking liar. This is a guy. Did you see what happened when he was dating or he was hooking up with that journalist chick, Olivia Nuzzi?
No.
And so it came out that they had some sort of an affair, right? And he goes to his allies in the media and he says to them, mind you, she's probably like 30 years old, right? Young girl. Attractive girl. He's a raisin man who's 70-something, right? And he says, she was sending me unsolicited nudes. She was obsessed with me and sending me nudes that I didn't want. Who the fuck is going to believe that?
Yeah,
you wrinkly, perverted little bitch. Who the fuck is going to believe? You are so full of shit, it's preposterous. Holy fucking shit. God damn it, man. Oh my God. So yeah, anyway, he's just a scam artist too. The whole thing is fucking scam artist, bro. I'm telling you. As bad as the Democrats are, and they're bad, the Republicans are just like, it's like they're comic book villains at this point. Like literally
like soulless
villains.
Yeah. They'll I mean, it is sad that they'll like lie straight to people's faces and there's no remorse, they don't feel any consequences. They'll just like the fact if he straight knew that was a lie and just flipped it to being something of his argument is like,
does it all the
that's
time.
Scary.
He does it all the time. That's what I'm saying. That's why these people, they're dead-eyed psychopaths, man. I'm telling you.
And that's
this is
why
what Elon's like, this is what Trump's like.
Yeah, and that's why for someone like Rogan, who like I feel like genuinely doesn't like that in people, like, hey, that guy's a liar. Like he used to tell us in the past, like, I won't have that guy on his show. He doesn't really believe in the arguments that he's like talking about. So I'm not going to platform that. I'm not going to put him on my show. But to know that Trump is actually lying about pretty much everything he says and still endorse him and still agree with him is wild to me. And it almost makes you think, no, it doesn't make you think that like Trump is so, I don't know what I'm trying to say on that point, but
he's a good liar. He's a good liar.
Yeah, that's that he almost believes he's so good at lying, he believes his lies.
Yeah, but also like Joe, I think kind of wants to believe his lies. His entire social circle says this guy's the real deal. And okay, he sat there and to Joe's face, he said that he never said lock her up. His audience in 2016 would say lock her up about Hillary. And he said, I'd be like, whoa, that goes too far. Cut to the clip of him fucking saying lock her up 1,000 times because he did. He sat there and lied to Rogan's face and said, oh, the election was rigged and I have all the proof in the world. Meanwhile, Trump just wins this last election. The very show after, Rogan is talking to, I think it was Theo Vaughn, and Rogan goes, it turns out voting really works. It turns out it wasn't rigged.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And you just let the fucking lying con man lie to your audience for 3 hours straight and you didn't say shit back to him. You said nothing. It's fucking embarrassing, man. It's humiliating.
It's kind of crazy.
Caught up in this wave, this like cultural wave.
Yeah.
And you know what it is? Here's the thing that pisses me off, Corin. For somebody like Rogan, it's all vibes. It's all vibes. Like the vibe in the online world, the vibe in his comedy world, the vibe in the UFC world, the vibe among most of the political commentators he has on the show. It's all Trump good, Democrats bad, Democrats evil, Democrats even bigger liars. And he got caught up in the vibe. And like, if there's one thing I try to do on my show is to make people non-vibes based when it comes to politics. Look at the policies. Look at what they say they're going to do. Look at what they actually did. Like, this is how you got to evaluate it. And he thinks like, yeah, I got a good bullshit meter, a good bullshit detector. That shit fucking failed you worse than anybody's shit has ever failed them ever. Because you had me sitting across from you laying out in detail all the fucking bad things that Donald Trump did. You were nodding along in agreement. You were repeating a lot of those arguments. And then now, all of a sudden, all that's fucking memory hold.
Yeah, I mean, but not for nothing. Like, in business, in corporate America, like, I feel like a lot of deals and a lot of shit gets done just based off vibes. Like, I don't feel like a lot of people are actually like getting shit done based off of I mean, yes, they do a lot of research and facts and statistics and stuff, but like a lot of shit just gets done because people are friends, because they like each other, and that's how shit gets done. Like I feel like Trump just comes across as that guy that like is likable and is just gonna get shit done. Like
Yeah,
I don't
I mean,
know.
you're right. That's exactly right. They interviewed a Guatemalan undocumented immigrant, and the Guatemalan undocumented immigrant said he supports Trump for president. And when asked why, he said, "Look, I think he'll do good things for the economy." And then when the person said, "Well, aren't you worried he'll deport you?" He said, "No, I didn't. I'm not violent. I didn't do anything wrong. He wouldn't deport me." And it's like, what am I supposed to do with shit like this? I mean, Trump was saying not only to deport undocumented immigrants, he was saying deport legal immigrants like the Haitians in Springfield. He's
Yeah,
got
that's
Stephen
wild.
Miller doing some denaturalization shit where you take immigrants that are already legal and you make them illegal and then deport them. What are you supposed to do when that's the situation? And of course, the media can't counter it because the like all cool, down to earth people are all online and they're right leaning. And then mainstream media is like stodgy and uptight and stuffy and like corporate liberal types, and nobody likes that. Nobody fucking even watches them. They were just saying a lot of big liberal channels, both online and on TV, their viewership from the election and on fell off a fucking cliff. David Pakman did a video where he was like, "We're hemorrhaging subscribers." There's others in the online media space where they're
That motherfucker's
hemorrhaging
just trying to get more subscribers.
subscribers.
He's fucking lying.
MSNBC too. Their MSNBC's numbers fell off a fucking cliff. The worst ratings that they've had since like 2016 or 2017, like literally the pre-Trump era. And so, yeah, like
What? Because people are going to conservative outlets?
no. Probably, if I had to guess, it's probably because people feel like, all right, Trump won, we kind of lost. I'm just going to check out of politics for a while.
Oh wow.
Right? Like maybe that in some instances, maybe online, maybe you had some like DNC paid subscribers who were there and then it vanished at the end of the election, right? Like the fake account sort of vanished. I don't know. I don't have the answer, but what I do know is I don't think I lost any subs. I don't think I lost any subs. I don't think there are other like lefties that didn't lose any subs. And it's like you got to also provide answers and context and perspective for people. And you don't get that on the rah networks. But
I mean, not for
it's just
nothing.
crazy to me how. Go ahead.
A lot of those right wing, they say some wild shit that's a lot more fun than a lot of like boring David Pac-Man left outlets are saying. So it's like,
And
if you
now
want
all the comedy
entertainment,
networks are that. All
yeah,
like the comedy podcasts are all right leaning now.
yeah, yeah, and that's wild to me, and that's why I think hopefully MSNBC and CNN, and these like big news outlets, will come around and platform people like you who are entertaining, who like actually can provide some insight that like is colorful, rather than like a standard boring ass dude like you who wears a suit and is just saying like kind of like just very fucking cookie cutter type answers. Like you need someone with some
Yeah.
flair, with some humor, some like actual people skills to like get a point across. Because I personally am tired of going to CNN, MSNBC, and seeing the same people. I'm just like, man, I'm turning this shit off. I'm tired of seeing this dude and these people fight about transgender shit. Like, it's like enough already.
And they're actually like now a lot of people in the media are now all of a sudden they're recognizing Joe Rogan and thinking he may have had an impact on the election, and they're saying Kamala Harris should have went on and shit. And it's like, you guys are fucking like 5 years too late.
Yep.
Like Rogan was at his peak like 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? And now because he had Trump on, he endorsed Trump at the last minute. Like now, all of a sudden, oh my god, the online world, oh my god, podcasts, what the fuck? Who knew podcasts?
What
And
is
it's like,
this? Yeah.
you guys are so behind. Like you're not even getting to Rogan at his peak anymore. You're getting to Rogan after his peak,
Yep.
And the whole time you had no fucking idea, none whatsoever.
Yep.
Like this is crazy. How did you not fucking realize back when he was like? He still is a cultural force, but now he's become more of like a standard conservative also. It's not like he doesn't have the heterodox thoughts anymore where sometimes he's right-wing, sometimes he's left-wing, and sometimes he has his own unique thoughts or whatever. Now it's sort of very doctrinaire, right-leaning, so it's not nearly as interesting. But he was a fucking cultural force for such a long time, and they had no idea. None.
And they
Zero.
could have had him too.
Yeah, they could have had him. But although, to be fair, and this is a point I've been making a lot recently, like, again, I was on 4 or 5 times. I would make the arguments right in front of him. He would nod along in agreement. But then 2 weeks later, he'd have on Ben Shapiro and nod along in agreement to everything Ben Shapiro said. And Ben Shapiro says the 100% exact opposite shit that I say.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe he wasn't gettable. But, yeah, it's just kind of crazy how far behind they are, right? Just like now, all of a sudden, holy shit, maybe Bernie was right in 2016. Motherfucker, 2016 was almost a decade ago, and just now you're realizing that shit?
Yeah.
You know,
what about,
it's just so crazy.
What about Charlemagne? Do you think he's got enough power to
like
kind of be a Rogan on on the left?
I mean, I think there already is a Rogan on the left, and it's Club Shay Shay.
Oh, for real? Shannon?
Yeah, his shit is huge. Shannon Sharp shit is gigundo, bro. It's huge.
Is he politicky?
Most of the time, no, but he's also a little bit like Rogan. Like, sometimes he'll dabble. He probably dabbles less than Rogan.
I didn't realize this shit was that big.
Oh, it's huge now. It's gigantic now. He did that Cat Williams interview, and it got like...
Yeah, well, the Cat Williams, I know, like, kind of set it off.
But other ones, too, other ones do really well, too. He really is like the Joe Rogan. But also, I mean, Charlemagne's a good example, too. I mean, his format is less like Joe Rogan than Club Shay Shay, but it's still... He's still good. I like Charlemagne. He's one of the few people in media who really is like, he'll just tell you what he thinks.
That's why I think like he could be...
He doesn't really care about the backlash, you know?
Yeah, like he could be someone that... I think he's politically savvy. He's smart. He understands how like kind of the industry works. But I don't know if he is notable enough to even like in 4 years be popular. You know, like I think he's more localized where New Yorkers know him. But if you ask someone in Montana who Charlemagne the God is, they'd be like, is that a Pokemon or some shit?
Yeah, but also like, you know, nothing's permanent, right? Like even Rogan, his time at the top of the mountain is not permanent, you know? So like, he's got it though. He's got the ability, I think. You know, he also does a podcast with Andrew Schultz, which is kind of funny because that's one of the podcasting comedians that gave Trump a hand job live on air. And it's kind of funny that Charlemagne is definitely more on the left and him and Andrew Schultz do a show. Because it's like, you got to be feeling some type of way about this dude just giving Trump a hot stone massage, right? Because it was Charlemagne was interviewing Kamala. Charlemagne was more pro-Kamala, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Was Charlemagne ever on Rogan, or are they...
I don't know. That's a good question. I actually don't know if he's ever been on there. He should be.
What's your thoughts on the... I think this is dumb because I think they try to do this when... Was it when Obama was leaving office or something? They're talking about Sotomayor stepping down. Is that a real thing?
So, here's the problem. She has type 1 diabetes, which cuts like 10 to 20 years off your life. And I think she's already 70 years old.
Yeah.
So that means functionally she's more like 80 or 90 right now. And that means we don't know if she's going to survive 4 more years.
Yeah.
And now what people are discussing is, look, she could easily die during Trump's administration, then Trump gets to fill another Supreme Court seat. So why doesn't she step down right now so that Biden can fill the seat in his lame duck session? That's the thing people are saying. And
but here's my quick argument before you finish your thing is, didn't they have a spot to fill one time when there was like 2 months
Obama
left?
And they said, fuck off. Yeah.
Right.
Now here's the difference, though. Back when Obama was trying to get that Supreme Court seat filled with Merrick Garland, the filibuster applied to getting Supreme Court appointments. So in other words, you needed 60 votes in order to get in the Senate, in order to get that seat filled. Since then, the Republicans got rid of the filibuster for Supreme Court picks. So now you only need 51 votes in order to get it passed. Okay? But again, we have one more problem, though. The last problem is, let's say Sotomayor steps down and Biden picks in somebody to fill it. There's a process, there's hearings and shit, these committee hearings, and there's a process before you actually take the vote. If he were to try to do it now, you'd have to sort of rush the process, which isn't the end of the world. That would be fine. But the problem is you have Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, who are very conservative Democrats, and my guess is they look at a scenario like what just happened with this election where Trump won easily, and they are the type of people to say, look, the American people just spoke. we should not be filling these Supreme Court seats. That's for Donald Trump to do. So we're not going to vote for anybody that Biden puts up. That's my fear. And so, like, Bernie came out the other day. Bernie was asked about it. Do you think Sotomayor should step down? And he basically was like, no, like, let's not get into that. And people were mad at him for that. But I think Bernie's thinking is literally just, hey, we know for sure that if she stepped down now, that Cinnamon Mansion wouldn't be for it. And so we don't have the votes, right? That's my guess. But yeah, like, it's a nightmare scenario, man. It's a nightmare scenario to look at. You know, this is probably the worst part. There's going to be a lot of bad things about Trump being in office, but if he gets even more Supreme Court picks, we're just going to have a Supreme Court that for the rest of our lives is wrong on everything.
Yeah.
And works day and night to make our lives worse. Like, that's literally what the Supreme Court is going to be. It's going to be 7-2 conservative. 7-2.
It's wild that they have that role for their whole life. Like, that is the wildest
I know.
job security, like, ever. And
Democrats pick old-ass people who are going to die, and now Trump was like, how about I put a 16-year-old on that shit, and just so they're there forever. It's just...
He would do some shit. Do you have to be a certain age, like a president, to be on the Supreme Court?
No, I don't think so. And he picked, he picked people in their, like, 40s. Meanwhile, the Democrats are like, we'll put a 60-year-old on there to be kind. It's like, what the fuck, bro? Holy shit, this is crazy.
That's why it's almost like the Democrats just got what they deserve, because they do such dumb shit that it's almost just like, you deserve this. You deserve to lose, because, like, the decisions you make are just so dumb.
And they
that's
also
what I really feel like if they...
as soon as Trump lost.
What happened?
They were fundraising as soon as Trump lost.
Yeah.
As soon as Trump won, I'm sorry. I was getting text messages like, sign Chuck Schumer's No Kings Act petition. Send $20. It's like, you motherfuckers just blew it again to Donald Trump, and you have the nerve to ask people for money right now?
So what do they do with all that money? Like, where does all that... Like, there's probably still leftover money. It's not like they spent all that shit, even though, like, I saw they spent mad money on the spear, which was just dumb to do. But, like, there's got to be so much money still laying around somewhere. Someone made off well with some money.
Yeah, there's these, I don't know if it's a conspiracy or if it's true, but there's these numbers floating around that, like, Kamala paid Eminem almost $2 million and Beyonce $10 million or whatever. I don't know if that's true, but they do say that Kamala's campaign is in debt. That
really?
Even though she raised $1 billion, she still owes like $20 million or something like that. And that's one of the reasons why they're fundraising. One of the things they did, remember when she did that interview with the Call Her Daddy lady?
Yeah.
There was this, and they built a set that was to look like that girl's set without them being on her set. They wasted like $100,000 doing that. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? It's like, you can go fuck yourself. And by the way, one thing I'll never forgive Bernie for is giving my information to other Democrats, because I donated to him and he's given my, sold my information to other Democratic campaigns, and I get texts from these rando Democrats, and it's like, I literally have no interest in what you're selling.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'll never forgive Bernie for that. Hell no.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder where all that money goes, but I'm sure people I wouldn't be surprised if they paid some of those artists for endorsements, because what was the guy's name? Rami Youssef or something. He's a comedian or something like that.
I don't know. I kind of vaguely know who you're talking about.
He said he was doing a stand-up I watched on the plane, and he said that the Biden campaign called him to get his endorsement, and that he declined. But I'm sure if they threw enough money at him, he probably would have said yes. So maybe they don't. Also, I don't know. I kind of just went against my argument.
You can't do that. To pay people for endorsements is crazy. Again, I don't know if that is true that they were paying the celebrities and shit to show up, but you can't do that, man, because that speaks to that inauthenticity shit.
I also don't see Eminem just sitting around hey, I feel like getting out there and campaigning for Kamala Harris.
Bro, he spoke for 30 seconds.
That's what I'm saying.
At the rally. Yeah, he introduced President Obama, and he spoke for 30 seconds.
That's why it almost makes me think they gave him a bag and were just come out and say some shit to Detroit, and then you could just keep it moving. Look at Nicky Jam. Nicky Jam didn't want to endorse Trump, but I'm sure they said, yo, we're going to be in Miami. We'll give you $1 million. Come out, just come on stage, wear the hat, and then you can get off stage.
Damn, paying for endorsements is so dark.
Yeah, it's
if I ever ran for office, if I had to pay somebody for an endorsement, I just wouldn't even want their endorsement. Right? Like, I'm not going to fucking pay you to say you agree with my politics. Do you agree or not? If you agree, say you agree. Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
I mean, it's slimy, but I mean, even like, I mean, briberies happen all the time. I mean, like, I think Jed was running for like school president in like middle school, and he would put posters up in the hallway, and they had like candy on them or some shit. Like, you got to entice people to vote for you somehow. So if like you're like, hey, that guy gave me candy, that other person didn't give me candy, I'm voting for the guy who gave me candy. If there's a candidate like, yo, we'll give you $10, come vote for us, I'm gonna vote for that guy. Fuck it, give me the money.
Yeah, in fact, when COVID was happening and the Senate passed a bill to like give people some financial relief for it, one of the things Trump did is he put his name on the stimulus checks, so people would get a check for like $1,000 or whatever it was,
Kind of
and
smart.
it would say his name on it. And when Democrats did their stimulus check, I think Democrats did more. They said we're going to give you 2,000, but then when it actually came down to it, they gave 1,400. But they didn't put their name on the check. Biden didn't put his name on the check. And that kind of says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, we think of shamelessness as something that is gross. If somebody's shameless, like, it means you're disgusting. Like, that's disgusting. But the sad reality is, in the world we live in, shamelessness helps.
Mm-hmm.
If you are shameless, that's how you become known. That's like that you're the loudest voice in the room, you elbow your way into the room, and people will fucking hear you because you don't give them the option of not hearing you. Being shameless means you make it further.
Yep.
And it's disgusting. I wish it wasn't that way, but this is how a lot of the billionaires became billionaires, being like ruthless and cracking down on their competitors and waging lawsuits and shit. Or with Trump, you know, his shit was just, you're not going to get rid of me. I'm like herpes. I just keep fucking coming back. I keep coming back. You threw 91 criminal charges at me. Guess what? Now they're irrelevant. They're irrelevant.
You know what's wild to me is I still remember, I think we were in Hawaii, me and Molly, for our honeymoon, and I saw one person with a MAGA hat on, and I was like, I can't believe that person is wearing that like outside and like bold enough to like, you know, endorse this person in public like that. Now it's kind of wild that it's just like it's become accepted to like wear that hat, like, and it was just such, it was almost like if you saw one out in public in the past, it was like you were stunned to see somebody wearing that hat, and now it's just openly like kind of fine if someone wears the hat.
Bro, that right there is what Democrats need to understand, that you are not going to beat like a movement revolutionary candidate like Trump unless you get people as excited for your guy as they do for their guy.
Yeah.
So all the fucking Trump flags, all the Trump bumper stickers, the inflatables, the hats, the merch, it like we see that shit everywhere, like you said. When was the last time there was a Democrat that got people that excited?
You said when was the
It
last
was
time?
Bernie.
Oh, Bernie.
Yeah, it was Bernie.
Yeah.
It was the last time people were genuinely excited.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they've avoided having candidates like that. They don't want candidates like that. They want like hand-picked status quo managers.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. You need somebody who genuinely gets people excited and riled up and ready to fucking go vote and willing to be like tell their friends and tell their family, like, yeah, I'm fucking voting for that. Of course I'm voting for them. You're not? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
We think of having that sort of energy on the Democratic side as like, ooh, that's like unintellectual or something. But it's not. It's just they're excited because that's their candidate.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun at a lot of people's Thanksgivings this year because,
oh my God,
it's going to be like, I would love, there should be like a Thanksgiving special, like almost like an America's Funniest Home Videos, but like Thanksgiving edition just this year. And people send in their videos of like arguments they're having at the dinner table over politics. Cause like I've been at a couple events just with my family recently, and they're like, no politic talk, like let's just avoid this and that. But like Thanksgiving is like the most notorious where you're going to have a conversation or relative who is a pro-Trump supporter or whatever. Those would be some funny videos of conversations happening, and I'm sure some fights happening as well.
Bro, I try so hard not to engage in those talks.
Oh, you're going to be like, this is going to be like the Super Bowl for people coming to you to ask your opinion or ask your thoughts or get in a debate with
But that's
you.
not that's not how my family works. Like my family, they'll ask me something, but really they're just waiting to give their take.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like they'll ask it, and first of all, I don't want to talk about politics with them, but they'll ask it, and I'll give the quickest possible answer, and then they're like, "Well, the real case is," and I'm like,
Okay.
"It's like I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this
Ugh.
because like." You know, people look at somebody like me and they're like, "Oh, you must be great at like convincing people of stuff, even in your private life." And it's like, nobody's fucking good at convincing people in their private life. Nobody.
Yeah.
You think my family hears me say some shit and they're like, "Well, he does talk about politics for a living, therefore, let me put some extra weight
You'd be
on what he
surprised.
says."
I showed you a text of my friend who's definitely a Trump supporter, definitely voted for Trump. And he texted me, he was like, "Yo, is your boy Kyle going on Rogan this year?" I was like, "No, not this year. Rogan kind of like fell off the wagon." And he was like, "Damn, I kind of like your boy Kyle." And I was like, "Damn, like I'm surprised that you made an impact on my friend who's like always posting Trump memes, is like posting the Onion stuff of like, you know."
Yeah, well, that's a failure on my part if he likes me and he's still a Trump supporter.
Well, no,
that
I
means
think
I failed.
Oh yeah, no, I think he kind of like could have came around. I don't know if he watches your shit all the time, but I think he kind of respects like the way you present, you know, your facts and like the way you come across, you know, putting out information, which to like disagree with you saying, I think you have more of an impact to sway people than you think.
But not in my family. Just not in my family.
Oh, maybe
Like
not.
my family, you know, they've known me since I was a fucking baby.
Yeah.
And they feel like, who the fuck is this little pissant? Who
Yeah.
cares? Like, no, I don't care what you have to say. I don't fucking agree with you. I haven't made even 1% of a you know, a change on any of them. And so I am the type of person where like if I know for sure, you know, me and you don't agree on this shit, like, all right, let's just not fucking talk about it.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, I'm fine with that. I'm cool. I'll sit here and watch TV. No big deal. We don't need to talk about fucking Social Security or some shit. Like, we're good. We're fine. Yeah, but yeah, in the online world is different. In the online world, people are seeking shit out, and sometimes they can stumble across something, and then you can convince them over time. But even that is probably like a sad low percentage compared to what it should be. Like, you know, in my mind and the minds of anybody that does this, you feel like, yeah, man, I can convince anybody who watches one of these things. And it's like, no. Some people, the brainwashing is so deep that it's like they just write you off immediately.
Well, that's
right?
how
you
it's
say
like
the first thing they don't agree with.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like even on Twitter now, like I just feel like there's so many more voices now that it's like I don't know how anyone can convince anybody. Like I'm just scrolling through shit and it's just a random person. It's like I disagree with how I'm like, oh, fuck off. Like there's another person that's like, this is how it's just like, fuck off. Like I don't know how anyone is still reading tweets thinking there's just so much noise on that shit now that like I think I tweeted something out that like I did try to delete that shit for about 30 seconds and then I reactivated it. And I've been more active on that shit than ever. So whatever Elon's doing is working because I've fucking tweeted more shit. I'm scrolling on that shit more. So like I'm not necessarily listening to what I'm reading. But I feel like more active on that shit now.
For me, man, he fucked the algorithm though so bad because I see so much more far right shit. Like I literally saw not like straight up Nazi shit.
Yeah, that's
just came up on my timeline, and it's like, how the fuck can you just let this? How can you pump out like literal Nazi shit?
Yeah,
like a picture that says this is the most misunderstood man in the world. Like, what the fuck are you doing? He just rigged the algorithm to pump out right-wing shit, and a lot of those right-wingers end up being Nazis, and it's like, oops, sorry.
That's what's scary for the next 4 years, too, is like, I feel like I'm getting kind of, like, manipulated enough where I'm like, oh, maybe Elon is doing some good shit for, you know.
Yeah, you fell for that shit, bro. You fell for that shit.
I kind of did, but, like, I kind of am like, again, I heard Rogan say it, and then now it's like I see it, and also I see it. But like, yes, the Cybertruck, people can think it's ugly as fuck, but it looks so different on the road than a regular car that I'm almost
like, that shit is trash bags. Let me tell you, bro, that shit. First of all, I literally don't know who the fuck Elon Musk had to pay off to even get that shit on the road, because it fails like every safety test you can fucking imagine.
It does, right? It's
like
like
a
catches
car
on fire and shit, right?
Bro, a car is not supposed to have sharp edges like that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, the lights.
That shit's got sharp edges. They had a defect with the way the pedal was, where sometimes the pedal would get stuck at full acceleration.
That's wild.
Insane. The computer breaks down a lot. Like, this shit is all over Twitter. You have people who love Elon Musk and love the Cybertruck, and you see people tweeting at him like, hey, Elon, this is the 7th time I had to take my Cybertruck in to get service, and it's just not fucking working, bitch. Yeah, it's a piece of shit. It's a piece of shit. And by the way, never take anything Rogan says on Elon Musk seriously, because I've never seen another man cucked more to another man.
Yeah, he loves
Rogan.
that dude.
Loves Elon Musk more than I love Bernie Sanders, right? Like, that's how bad it is.
Yeah.
This dude is... Rogan loves Elon Musk more than I love the idea of Jon Stewart running for president in 2028, and I love that shit more than anybody should ever love anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, whatever he's doing is fucking messing me up to think that, like, maybe they're on the right track. I keep seeing videos now of this guy who is going to be the new... Is it Secretary of Defense or some shit? It's like some guy that was having an argument with AOC about like separating.
No, that's the guy who's going to be the border czar.
Yeah,
he's going to oversee the mass deportations.
Like, I see this guy and I'm like, he kind of sounds like a normal dude. Maybe.
Nah, man. Nah. Look, that's the thing. Stephen Miller is the guy who's going to be top of the Trump administration working on issues like this. And this is a guy. They literally want to deport not only undocumented immigrants, documented immigrants. They want to do family separation again.
Will they actually do that? Because Molly said that too. She was like, hey, like, they're going to possibly get rid of, like, you know, some people. I'm like, they're not just going to, like, be walking down the street and be like, hey, you look illegal. Come here for a second. Get the fuck out of here. Like, you're going to have to do some shit.
They are. That's the thing, though. They are going to do some shit. And let's give best case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they only go after undocumented immigrants, right? And then let's narrow it down even more and say, let's say they only go after half the undocumented immigrants, or let's say 25% of the undocumented immigrants. Even if you just do that, that means you're deporting millions of people who are not committing any violent crimes. They're just here trying to earn money and look out for their family. Maybe they've been here 2 or 3 years or whatever it is. Not hurting anybody. And they're going to get kicked out. And then, you know, on top of just that being immoral in and of itself, kicking somebody out who didn't really do anything wrong, like, that also has negative consequences with the economy too.
Yeah.
Like, they did this, I think they did it in, what was it? The state of Alabama, I want to say. They passed this bill that made the conditions for immigrants so bad that they just, like, were forced to leave. And so all the undocumented immigrants left. And then within a year or two, they had to repeal that law because what they found is it made their economy collapse. Like, they thought, oh, you'll get other people, like some
doing
black
jobs.
people or some poor white people will go do the jobs and pick the strawberries or whatever the fuck. And then they just didn't. They just didn't do it. And so the economy was, like, in fucking tatters. And so they had to get rid of that shit. So they're definitely going to do some fucked up shit. First, I mean, they also just lie all the time. They act like all these undocumented immigrants are just, like, murderers and violent and shit. And I've covered the numbers on my show. Undocumented immigrants commit crime at a lower rate than U.S. citizens.
Yeah, they're going to want to be more like well, let's not do some shit. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's going to be bad, man. Because now, again, the thing is, he's unchained now. It's not like the first term. He had people sort of reeling him in. Now he knows who he wants to hire, who's going to say yes to everything he says.
They're going to be all yes men.
He talks such a big game on all this shit that you know he's got to deliver on some of it. But what'll happen is you'll get some ugly pictures or some ugly videos that come out of families getting ripped apart, and Americans will turn on it. They'll turn on it pretty quickly. I mean, this is what happened. Remember when they were doing the child separation at the border?
Yeah.
There was such outcry over that. Trump had to eventually be like, okay, no, we're not doing that anymore. So, you know, it'll be ugly. It'll be ugly, man.
Yeah, it's gonna
suck for 4 years.
And he's going to the I saw the video of Joe Biden try to walk in the sand, and then
my God.
Someone wrote, like, I don't know if this was a joke or not, but someone was like, no, he's not walking weird. He's doing this ancient technique of, like, walking like sideways, and that's a real, like, tactic to, like, counteract walking in the sand. And I was like, Do I believe that shit, or he just couldn't walk in the fucking sand?
He definitely just couldn't walk in the
He
sand.
just
That
definitely
person had to
couldn't
be
walk in the
trolling.
sand. I was like, I kind of feel bad for that guy, man, because it's like he still has some of his marbles. Because I think that him and Obama in that church were really saying like, she's gonna lose. She's not as likable as me. Like I had a better shot. Why'd you guys talk me out of this type of shit? But then on the flip side of it, the guy can't walk. The guy can't speak.
He
The
was going to
guy.
lose. Nah, it's cope from the Biden world. This is literally their line is like, oh, see, you guys got the candidate that you wanted, and it turns out she lost. Like, you should have just gone with me. But
He would
they
have
had
lost too.
internal polling that showed him losing 400 electoral college votes.
Oh, really?
Trump got 312. I'm sorry, Trump got 312. But they're saying Trump would have got 400 electoral college votes if it was Biden.
Damn.
Like, there was no way.
Yeah, it was
he was going to
lose.
literally no chance. So that's fucking cope on their part. But that's like, they're delusional, right? Like, in order to be at that sort of position, like, you got to be delusional because you got to remember, Biden had been counted out so many times before, and every other time he wound up pulling it out, right? Like, in the primary in 2020, Bernie was winning.
Mm-hmm.
And the DNC got involved, and they told all the other candidates to drop out and endorse Biden. They did it the last minute. Then Biden was able to get over the top, right? And then people thought in the general election against Trump, like, you're not going to win this shit. Like, you're losing this shit. And then he won that shit too. And so in his mind, and then they said leading into the midterms in 2022, they were like, bro, going to be a historic red wave. The Republicans are going to win everything in sight. That's what all the polling is showing. Democrats are about to get fucked. And then the Democrats did well. And so if you're Biden, you're sitting there thinking, I pulled the shit out in the primary in 2020. I pulled the general election out against Trump in 2020. My party did great in 2022. And Biden thought that was like validation of him each step of the way. And so that's why it took him so long to finally be like, okay, I'll step aside. When they finally got his ass to step aside, because he delusionally thought, like, first of all, I'm good. My brain's working fine. Second of all, look at all these fucking W's I racked up, bro.
Yeah.
This is what he's thinking. But that's
sad.
all fucking cope. It's all cope. The only reason the Democrats won in the midterms was Roe versus Wade was just overturned.
Yeah.
And all the Republican candidates were fucking psychopaths. That's the only reason they won.
There was a funny, I don't know if it's like a full challenge I'm not on TikTok, but I saw on Twitter, there was a thing. They had like some crazy ass, like Republican ass lady, and her son. Like there was a trend saying that they found like a new batch of like 40 million votes and that Kamala won, and she started going crazy.
Bro, liberals are now going hard. They got their own stolen election theory. Did you see this?
No, seriously.
Liberals got their own stolen election theory. So I think I want to say it started on TikTok. And first of all, there's a lot of like astrology women on TikTok who are saying like, it's not over. It's not over because she's a Sagittarius and there's the moon shit and this and that. Like, okay, so that's one thing. But then the other thing is now you got liberals are saying that Starlink, you know, Elon Musk's internet shit.
What is he?
They're saying like
internet?
Starlink is Elon Musk's internet thing, like his satellite internet thing.
Oh, I don't know what the fuck that is.
It's his company. It's Starlink, and they do satellite internet, and it's high-speed internet from a satellite. But anyway,
okay.
They have it over. The liberals are saying Starlink satellites were deployed directly over the swing states in particular. And they're saying they hacked into the voting machines and made it so Trump won. And then to add to the mystery, you have Rogan, when he was talking to Theo Von, told a story on election night about how apparently Elon Musk, at the like really early on in the night when the results just barely started coming in, Elon Musk was looking at his computer and he goes, "That's it. It's done. It's over. Trump wins." And then he shut his laptop and he went home. And Rogan was saying, people were like, how the fuck does he know that Trump is going to, like, this is early in the night. We don't even really know.
That one I don't believe. I believe he could maybe do some shit with a satellite to like block out certain.
Well, the arguments are linked, right? The argument is, Elon Musk stole the shit, and then he was looking at the app on his computer, and he was like,
"We're good.
My mission is accomplished. He's going to win it, even though it's early in the night. Job done. Boom. I'm out." And the liberals are going ham now. They got their own. And you know what? I'm going to give them a full fucking pass. You want to know why I'm going to give them a full pass? Because for 4 fucking years straight, Donald Trump and all these Republicans denied that he lost the election,
Yeah.
and they screamed it from the mountaintops the entire fucking time, and then he ended up winning in the next election. So if liberals want to have their own fucking delusional fairy tale and hang on to it, God fucking bless. God bless. I hope you guys are louder about it. I hope you keep talking about it. I hope you don't let it go. I hope you find some politician that agrees with you and starts talking about it. And I hope you become progressively more and more insane. And then we get Jon Stewart 2028. That's what I hope.
I'm telling you, 28 is going to be someone who's not enough. It's going to be someone that's like vanilla, but also like, it'll be like Colbert.
Oh my God, no. I can't do Jimmy Kimmel. I can't do Colbert. I can't do it. I can't really do The Rock. Look, I say all this shit, but then it's going to happen. Like, you know what's the most likely scenario?
It'll be like Martha Stewart or some shit. And they'll be like, she's a woman. She's successful.
The most likely scenario is it's going to be Gavin Newsom. They're not going to run a woman again, I'm telling you. The most likely scenario is it's going to be Gavin Newsom or fucking Pete Buttigieg or something. You know, they're definitely going to go with a white man.
Yeah.
They're going to prefer a straight white man, but if they have to take a gay one in Pete Buttigieg, they will. And I guess the only upside of one of those guys is they're debate bros. And if this really is like the unhinged era that I think it is, like the arrogance era, well, okay, they're arrogant as fuck, and they'll debate any Republican on any fucking point and like scream at them.
Yeah.
So that's what they got going for them. But the problem with them is they're just, again, standard Democrats. And now, you know, now I feel after Trump won, I feel even more like reinvigorated, and I feel like I want to be just a massive equal and opposite asshole to them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But
now I want to compromise less. Like I want to be like, go fuck yourself and the horse you rode in on.
But none of those
fucking lying
people,
sons of bitches.
Like even, well, maybe Jon Stewart, can have that like go fuck yourself mentality. But like Mark Cuban, all these other people don't. They're too polite.
Right.
You know, whereas Trump is just like that rare breed where even like when you go back to like him standing next to Ted Cruz, just when he wouldn't walk out of like the tunnel, like anyone else would just feel that situation, be like, this is so awkward. I got to walk out. There's just something in his blood that is just unafraid of awkwardness, unafraid of like just any weird situation, which makes him so rare and so strange and so like, he's such a fucking obscure guy.
It's the person he's a person who's willing to just totally ruin somebody over the most minor slight against him.
Yeah.
And he's also the person who's willing to welcome you back with open arms.
Yeah.
The second you start saying good things about him.
Yep.
Right. Like for him, he is the litmus test, and he can make or break you on how you feel about him.
Yeah.
And so he inspires insane loyalty from people, and whenever somebody crosses the line, boom, they're done. They're out. It's over.
Yep.
And then he's reshaped the Republican Party in his image. And the thing that's crazy is like, with a power like that, you could do so much good in the world, but he doesn't believe in good things. Like he doesn't believe in universal health care. He doesn't believe in a higher minimum wage. He doesn't believe in ending the corruption. He doesn't actually believe in ending the wars, even though he says he's anti-war. And so it's like, if only you could use that shit. Like that's the part that I understand from the Trump supporters, is that they look at him and they see how he just bulldozes through people to get his way. And you think, well, in politics, that's a good thing to have because you could just get the shit through. So I get that. But the problem is he's just for all bad things.
Yeah.
And that's where they miss it. That's where they lose it. That's where they don't understand. Like, no, this is not good. Like, this is bad.
Dog, can I ask you, why is Jimmy Dore going so hard, man? He's seems like he's really gone off the wagon of like jocking your dick mad hard to just say wild shit. I even commented on one of his things like, yo, that video that he keeps posting is like not funny or good, and he just keeps posting that same shit, and I'm just like, I think you're kind of jealous of Kyle at this point, and it's just like, I think he's just like using your name for clicks and comments and shit. The dude is just like, seems like he's went full blown out crazy.
Yeah, so first of all, let me just say, Jimmy's a joke. Like
that's what it seems like it's come to.
Like he's genuinely pathetic.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of sad how pathetic he is as a human being. So that's the first point. Second of all, I literally had no idea he was ever mentioning me ever, because I
was going
literally
hard.
I don't give a fuck about what he has to say ever. and I haven't watched a video of his in at least 3 years, maybe.
Yeah, this shit is garbage. And like him and that guy.
But then the other thing is, he's in denial about himself.
Yeah.
So the denial he's in about himself, he had this whole shtick that he did for a really long time, and the shtick is, I'm the leftiest lefty in the world, and I'm the only lefty that has the leftiest answers of leftiness. Like, that was his whole shtick. I'm the only pure one. Everybody else is corrupt and crooked and stupid and wrong. And he would point his guns in every which direction, going after everybody, virtue signaling and pretending, I'm the most pure lefty, I'm the most pure lefty, right? And then what happened? Over time, he ended up outing himself as being pro-Trump. He just outed himself as being pro-Trump.
Yeah.
There's a video of him saying he thought Donald Trump was out-lefting Kamala Harris, which I'll spare everybody the intricate details on the policy stuff, but suffice to say, that is the most retarded political comment I've ever heard in my life. You can have criticisms of Kamala Harris. I certainly do have criticisms of Kamala Harris. She is significantly to the left of Donald Trump.
Yeah.
This is like a fucking second grader who knows some shit about politics can tell you that reality.
Mm-hmm.
But he's stuck in this mindset of, it's funny because he doesn't know what he's doing. It was, I'm the leftiest lefty, but then it became, I'm just going to pander to right-wing idiots all the time. So now it's like he's never squared that circle. Wait, are you the leftiest lefty and the most pure? Or do you suck Donald Trump's cock all the time? And do you suck Tucker Carlson's cock all the time? And do you, ride the coattails of Joe Rogan and whoever else is in this like edgy comedy sphere? So yeah, he lost his mind. And it's kind of funny that he still feels the urge to come after me. The only times I ever mention him is when he says something that blows up enough where I can mock it and laugh at it, right? Like, I never see anything he says, but if something happens to come across my Twitter feed where it's like a 13-second clip of him saying the dumbest shit you've ever seen, maybe I'll talk about it. But for him, notice something about him. It's not even funny. Well, what's actually interesting is at some point, he turns on everybody who was ever close to him, ever. Yeah. At some point, it happens. It happened with everybody he was ever close to in this business, and everybody will tell you he's just a toxic fucking dude.
You could see that.
I think he's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I think he's an alcoholic.
It's sad. It's like kind of sad.
It is sad. But you know what? I love it. I one of the realizations I've had is that, and Trump really, brought this home for me, is that controversy is great for anybody, right? Especially if you're in, do what I do, or you're a politician. Controversy is amazing. Mm-hmm. The more people talk about you, the more people are interested in what you're saying, the more they're going to tune in. Yep. Even if it's just to fucking hate watch you.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, motherfuckers, talk shit about me all the time and watch as the view count goes up.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, like, that's what people want in this business. You want to say some shit that's real and true, but you also want people to watch you. And so, shit, I fucking welcome the haters. By all means. And here's the best thing, Corin, and me and Crystal have now been doing this, I want to say, for at least 2 years, probably a little longer. We both have decided, wait a second, if we just don't read any comments, you feel amazingly free.
Yeah.
If I say some shit that's super fucking controversial and people are shitting on me and even allies of mine are like, you can't say that, I don't fucking hear a peep of any disagreement. I don't care. You guys can fight over what I said all day, every day until you're blue in the face. I have no idea that there's a backlash to anything I'm saying or anything I'm doing. In my mind, everything I say, I'm like, everybody agrees with everything I say all the time. Because I say something and then I just move on and I go eat a sandwich and I go watch reruns of some TV show and I go watch some YouTube videos that have nothing to do with politics, right? And so, I don't know. It's very hard in this business, and I've seen it with a lot of people who do this shit.
Get caught up.
A lot of people, they lose their minds because they read every comment.
Yeah.
And they start thinking, wait, is that true? Wait, am I wrong about this? Wait, is my character really bad? Am I wrong? Like, they go down a bad path, and it genuinely impacts their mental health in a way that drives them crazy.
Yeah.
But it is fucking liberating and blissful and amazing to do something like this and then just live your life, right? And I never get sort of shoved off course by a mob or by people trying to do cancel culture against me or whatever. It never happens because I don't know what anybody's saying. And so that also makes it probably so my takes are like spicier too from time to time, right? Or I'm willing to buck orthodoxy from time to time because I just assume, of course, what I'm saying is true. This is what I think. I'm just telling you what I think. But when you never see the backlash, all is hunky-dory, all is beautiful. And so, yeah, I welcome Jimmy to keep shitting on me. If he ever says anything relevant enough to merit me shitting on him again, I will shit on him again. But he's very barely relevant at all anyway, period. But if
that's
something
why
happens to come across,
yeah, just know I had
then
your
I'll do
back
it.
on one of them because he keeps like it was like the same video and the shit was whack, not even good. And I was just like, yo, you're dick riding hard right now, bro. And mad people show love on it. So shout out to everybody that showed love on my thing. But like, yeah, he's just it's kind of sad. And like he comes up on my feed and I'm just like, yo, he just seems like he's not happy with what he's doing and the other
his grift
comedians
collapsed.
he had on.
Look, here's the problem. I'll tell you what happened with him. This is the big problem for him. So for a while he was riding high, doing the I'm the leftiest lefty bit, going after the Young Turks, going after me, going after Democratic politicians, and nominally attacking them from a left-wing perspective, right? But what happened is, so COVID rolls around. And when COVID hits, he goes into full conspiracy theorist mode. And he is like a true, tried and true, hardcore anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
Like all in on the anti-vax shit. For like a year or two straight, it was nothing but Dr. Fauci videos and anti-vaccine videos and shit like that. But here's the problem with that. He got a sugar high from that. He got a spike, and he got a lot of views from that, and it brought in a lot of right-wing fans. But what happened after a while is COVID passed. And nobody gave a fuck about vaccine conversation anymore or lockdown conversations anymore.
So you have to keep those people entertained.
After that, he was kind of in the wilderness. Because, like, okay, what do you talk about now? And he tries to go back to the golden oldies of, like, I'm just going to shit on Democrats 24/7. But when you have the rise of Trump yet again, and you have 91 criminal cases against Trump, and there's so many other interesting things to cover within the context of a presidential election, he just defaulted back to, I'm the purest lefty in the world, but I have nothing negative to say about any Republicans ever, and I'm just going to keep shitting on Democrats from now until the end of time. And what happened is the audience was replaced over time with true, genuine lefties who want to make the world a better place. Back in the day, those are the people who followed Jimmy Dore. And over time, it became half those people, and then half anti-vaxxers and MAGA weirdos. And then now, it's just all MAGA freaks.
Yeah.
And so now his audience is just right wing.
So he's got to pander to them.
But he's in a weird place, right? Because what do you do if you're Jimmy Dore? Do you go full, like, I'm going to be like Ben Shapiro now and make those sorts of arguments? Do you go full Alex Jones? Do you try to thread the needle and be yourself, but you end up in this weird place where you can't really do vaccine videos anymore, but you also, now that Trump's elected, are you going to ride Trump's nuts again, Jimmy? Is that what you're going to do? So he's in a weird place. And the thing is, like, once it became clear who he is and what he is, that he's not a lefty anymore, he's a right-wing hack at this point, you don't have a home anymore. Because you're not going to convince the pure lefties that you're actually one of them anymore because they've seen way too many clips of you sucking Trump's dick, right? And so that's the canard he's in, that's the pickle he's in, and that's why he's sort of fallen off a cliff, right? Because he sort of chased the grift, chased the sugar high, chased the COVID anti-vax stuff, and then ended up going down the MAGA rabbit hole. And I'm sorry, Jimmy, but if you're going to be in that lane, there are people who are just better at this than you and have been doing it way longer. Ben Shapiro has way more sophisticated arguments for a right-wing perspective, and he's also honest and upfront about what he believes, where he will say, yes, I'm conservative, and yes, I'm a Republican.
Yeah.
You still have this weird psychological thing where you pretend like you're a lefty, but 24/7 all you do is shit on Democrats and shit on lefties. I mean, this is a guy who's literally more kind and open and willing to have conversations with people like Benny Johnson and Matt Walsh, outright fascist idiots. He'll be kind and have conversations with them, but AOC is a sellout, and every Democrat is a sellout. Right? There's more, according to your own ideology, there's more crossover between Jimmy Dore and any random Joe Schmo Democrat in the country, but he has nothing but smoke for the Democrats and nothing but love for the Republicans and bridge building and, oh, let's have a conversation and, you know, have a meeting of the minds and see where we agree. So he's just lost.
Yeah,
he's
it seems like it.
Yeah.
Seems like he's super lost. Yeah, I didn't mean to, my bad to even bring it up, but I know I saw it and I was just like, this dude's going hard, and it seems like he just fell off a wagon and is trying to just ride on your and Crystal's, like, well, your dick and Crystal's vagina to just stay relevant. And I think he sees that generates clicks and people commenting, so he's gonna ride that out. But sad.
Yeah, but it's not really working.
Yeah,
it's not really working. But anyway, hey, God bless. He can do whatever he wants to do. But he's hardly relevant because he doesn't have anything interesting or new to say.
Yeah,
There's nothing interesting or new to say. It's all the same shit
he had
over
a
and over.
comedy some comedy shit he did. He was like standing in front of a microphone and there was like 4 people on a panel and they like, I watched it for like 2 minutes and I was like, this is the worst shit ever. Like if I was sitting in the audience, I hope nobody paid for that shit because it was not funny. Like it was sad and it was kind of like embarrassing for the people up there. That shit was terrible.
Yeah, and it's a shame too because the one good thing I'll say about him is he is a very compelling personality. Like when he's on and when he's saying things that make sense, he's very compelling. Like you want to listen to him. He can get you like fired up, right? But it misfired.
Yeah.
You know, over the years it just misfired. So what are you gonna do? It is what it is. But God bless, man. God bless. Anybody listening to this, you absolutely positively have my permission to make videos shitting on me, making fun of me, calling me an idiot, take any
don't do any
position I have and
though.
Disagree with it. They can do whatever they want, man. It's fine. I won't see it. I won't care about it. And you'll have fun and people will have fun watching it. And we could just move forward from there. So by all means, everybody, please go right ahead.
I had a bird in my house today, bro.
What?
Yeah, I walked in my house and there was a bird chilling on the chair in my kitchen.
Just like sitting there, like waiting for food type shit?
No, like a bird that got in my house and was just like, what the fuck do I do now? So my mother-in-law got the bird out, but there was a hot second where I saw the bird.
Mom has to do everything.
Yeah. I saw the bird and then it like went down on the ground. So I was like, all right, it's contained in the kitchen. So, but I didn't want to walk to the back door because I just thought the bird would like attack me. It was a little ass bird. Then all of a sudden, the bird just disappeared. We didn't know where it was, so shit could have been anywhere. And then eventually she said it flew out the back door.
Yeah, we once had one time our cat killed a mouse and brought it into the bedroom and dropped it on the floor next to us as if to be like, here, I got you guys breakfast.
Oh, no.
I was sleeping. Crystal woke me up in a panic like, oh, my God, Salem just brought a dead bird in. And I was like, no, it was probably one of his toys. He was like, no, it's a dead dead mouse. And I was like, oh, fuck. So it was a dead mouse, but that was gross. And then one time I don't know if it was our cat or our dog, but one of them killed a bird and dropped it in the house too. And then there was one time like
Did you have to take it out? Did you like scoop it? And
I had to deal with all this shit. Yeah.
God damn.
But then there was also one time where a bird got in, like what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it just sort of flew around like crazy and like was going into shit. And that one sucked. I think we ended up getting it out okay though in that scenario. But yeah, wildlife in the house is not good.
There was the guy. Did you see this dude who I think he like kind of went pretty viral? He had was it a squirrel? He had a pet squirrel, I think. And
oh yeah. And then they say that the government didn't allow him to do it, and they killed him or some shit. And
yeah, I'm kind of on the side of the government. Like, don't have any fucking non-pets that are not like a cat or a dog or a goldfish or some shit. Don't have some obscure shit. I'm kind of team. Just have a regular ass pet.
The thing, I didn't research this, but I think that there was aspects of the story that people were leaving out to try to garner more sympathy. Like it bit somebody or something.
Oh,
and
really?
Like, does it have rabies? And there was like a whole backstory. Again, I didn't look that much into it, but
yeah,
that's what I think. Something like that happened.
But are you team have like a weird pet, or are you team like nah, just have some regular ass pet?
It depends what the pet is. I mean, I'm kind of fine with a squirrel. I don't think that's too crazy.
Damn.
Having a pet tiger or a lion is fucking psycho.
Yeah.
Bobcat is sort of borderline because those shits are vicious too.
What about like a deer?
So apparently you can't really tame those. That's my understanding. Is that deer
like you can't train them and stuff like that?
Yeah, like so. First of all, they jump really fucking high.
Yeah,
and if you and I think they're the types that sort of need to be outside type shit.
Oh, okay.
It's some are tameable and some aren't. It's like apparently you can tame a horse, but you can't tame a zebra. Zebras are not tameable. So I guess it depends. And I think states have different laws on this. Like I think Texas is much more lax, and they're like, you can have whatever the fuck you want to have. And then there's other states that are like, you can't have this kind of animal, this kind of animal. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I lean a little more towards let people do whatever, but there's got to be some reasonable boundaries where like, I'm sorry, you can't have a wolf in your house. Like you can't, it's fucking dangerous as fuck. Even people say pit bulls too. Like there are plenty of pit bulls that are really well behaved and really good, but then some of them can be really deadly, and that's apparently a problem. And there's oftentimes every year there's some percentage of people or kids that get attacked by pit bulls and get killed.
Hell yeah.
You know?
There's so many dogs. I'm like walking down the street and like the owner has to like pull back their dog, and it's just a regular ass dog. But like I'm like, if that animal has that much anger in it to just see me like not even attacking it, just walking on the sidewalk, it might not be a good idea to have that pet, because if you didn't pull them back, I wouldn't have my leg right now because they'd be just fucking like going ham on it.
Bro, our dog is a problem. First of all, she's the most loving dog in the world, and she gets excited and she just wants pets. Like,
Yeah.
she would never bite anybody or anything like that. But she does bark at people.
That's
And
what
she
I'm saying.
does
That shit is
sort of-
scary, because that's
She
like,
does sort of rush at people, and like sometimes she'll jump on people out of
Yeah.
excitement, and she's kind of big. And we have this thing called the invisible fence in our yard where she's supposed to stay like on the deck and not go beyond the deck. She can go in the yard to use the bathroom, but she can't. She has to stay on the deck outside of that.
Uh-huh.
But the invisible fence stopped working. And so now, if I'm at the other end of the yard, she feels like now I can go wherever I want. And so she'll come to the end of the yard and then walk out in the street.
Oh.
And one time the other day, she started running in circles around some poor woman walking her dog. And I had to go out there and get Phoebe under control. And I had to like grab her by the collar and drag her. And she wasn't listening. Usually she listens to me when I say like, Phoebe, stop, or Phoebe, do this, do that.
yeah.
She wasn't fucking listening to me. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Don't worry. I was trying to calm the woman down. Like, don't worry. I promise she won't hurt you. She's just excited and happy, and she wants
But
to play with
ultimately,
your
you don't
dog.
know. That dog could be
No,
like,
no. I do know that. But what the other thing I do know, though, is that it's unacceptable to have your fucking animal running around circles ominously around somebody else.
oh,
Like,
fuck
you
that
can't
lady.
do that.
She can have a dog running
Right?
circles around her.
So I felt horrible, but I eventually got her inside. But we're still dealing with that shit.
What's up with the fence? How do you can't like just fix the
So
fence?
we called the people. It's an invisible fence. It like shocks her when she goes in the
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
place.
But it doesn't
and
work
we
on
called-
people.
No, it was just for Phoebe. But
I feel
we
like you're
called-
like, yo, come over, and every time I would not know where the fence is. And I just be like, yo, I just got zapped again.
it's like a collar that'll shock her if she goes.
Oh,
in
so
the
it's
wrong
on her.
place.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. And we called them to fix it, and then they showed up and they looked at it and they were like, "Yeah, we'll be back in 20 days to
Never
fix
came
this."
back.
And we're like, "What the fuck?" And so we're still waiting. It's still going to be a few days until they come back, but it's like they needed a part that they didn't have or some shit, like, or they were all backed up with appointments or whatever. And the shit just like it stops working at least twice a year. Like it'll
Damn.
just stop working.
Damn.
And when that happens, we're sort of fucked, right? It's sort of like, well, what do we do?
Does the dog start to? She doesn't realize like where the line is. Like, hey, I've gone to this point every single day, and the shit zaps me. Like, let me not go. Like,
So what'll happen is she knows the boundaries, and for the first like week after the invisible fence stops working, she won't really go out. But eventually she starts testing it. And eventually she goes a little further and a little further, and then finally she realizes after a while, like, this shit is not working. I can go wherever the fuck I want. And usually when we're there in the house, if we open the door to let her out to go to the bathroom, she'll stay close to the house. She
Yeah.
won't do anything crazy. But if one of us is outside and we walk 20 feet away from the house,
It's a
she
wrap.
goes, oh, it's on. I can go wherever the fuck I want. Yeah. So it's fucking rough.
damn.
We got some wild animals, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like where I'm at, they sent an email because it's deer season right now. I guess they're mating, so like the deers are out fucking around everywhere. But I'm nervous, and I think it's inevitable at this point that like I'm gonna be driving and I'm gonna hit a big ass deer. And I don't know if anyone
There's a lot
listening
of
has
them.
ever hit a deer before, but I'm shook that it's gonna like, because I've played Cruising USA and I've hit some deer, and that shit goes splattering all over your dashboard. And I heard it messes up your car. So I'm nervous that shit's going to fuck up my car.
What kind of car are you driving now?
I mean, I have a Traverse and a Kia Carnival. So big cars.
Yeah, you should be okay in those.
But
You
it's
should be
still going to
okay.
do some damage to my car. Like, these are big ass deer. Like, there was one deer.
Yeah, it'll do damage, but it won't be like it's one of those shits where it'll do damage, but it won't be like you have to take this in right now. It'll just be ugly looking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like same thing. Like we drive a pickup, and it's like that shit is not gonna fucking do shit to the pickup.
Are
It
there
might
deer by
take
you,
the
though?
headlight out. A quadrillion of them, dog.
Are you nervous that, like, at night? Like, because now, 4 o'clock, it's pitch black. I turned the other day, and there was a big ass deer with, like, big ass horns and
Antlers.
everything.
Yeah.
I had
mhm.
to swerve out the way. I was like, if I wasn't
Damn.
paying attention, I would have bashed right into that shit.
I feel like maybe our deer are a little more intelligent. I feel like they don't jump in front of the cars as much as I would think. Maybe they're used to being
Maybe.
like in the area down here. I don't know, but they haven't really jumped out in front. They can, but they haven't yet. But I'm telling you, at least once every week, when we drive into our driveway,
Yeah,
you will see like 8 deer
really.
just chilling in the yard.
Yeah, that's how it is
Crazy,
out
right?
here. It kind of
Yeah,
was
that's
scary.
crazy.
I took my garbage out like last week, and across the street, my neighbor has like a lot of grass like in his front. There was like 5 deer there, and it looked like kind of like zombies just like huddling up. And my light like kind of went on them for my driveway, and it was just like a scary looking sight. I don't know. It just reminded me of like zombies huddling up, and then like fucking
Yeah. Have you ever seen when they have that disease? When they
no.
have
What
that
the
thing that
fuck?
makes them. You've never seen a deer with Preon disease? It makes it look like they're zombies, like their parts of their fur start falling off, and they start looking really sickly.
That
And
would scare me. That would scare the shit out of
yeah,
me.
some of them
That's a real
have that.
thing.
Yeah, it's a real thing. They get affected by this prion disease thing, and it's just like it's almost like kind of like cancer for a deer.
Oh,
It just
no.
like sort of rots them from the inside out. It's terrible. They look horrible.
That
I feel so
sounds
bad for them.
horrible.
If you see one like that, it's honestly kinder to just kill them because they just degrade until they die.
Damn,
at
that sounds
point.
like almost
Yeah.
like the start of how some like next pandemic shit would start.
Yeah. People are looking at some bird flu shit now. You saw that?
No, is that
They got,
is that the next thing?
maybe?
Oh, don't say
it's
that.
hard
I
to
just had a
tell.
bird flying in my damn house.
No, not that kind of bird.
Oh.
It would come from chickens. I think chickens is the main concern.
Oh,
for
should I
bird
stop
flu.
eating chicken?
Nah, no. But it jumps like a virus will affect the chickens, and then the nightmare scenario is it jumps to a person, and if it's a particular bad strain, it can keep spreading to other people. Like then it could go from person to person, and that would be a disaster. And what I learned from COVID is that we have not advanced at all since like the old school pandemics.
No.
Like it is just total fucking chaos and mayhem, and it's like, yeah, you're kind of on your own, but we'll pretend. Like I love how their solution is like, you guys got to stand 6 feet apart. Like, oh, how fucking brilliant of you, right? Like, cover your nose and your mouth and stand 6 feet apart. Like that's all you got for me after all this fucking time.
Yeah.
That's it. And
I
then now,
took,
since we're a global economy, right? Like everybody's out all the time around other people. Like the virus is spread faster.
I don't know if you ever saw this, but I took one of the girls to a doctor's appointment today, and they have in the doctor's office, it was like a feeling well section and a feeling sick section, but they were literally right next to each other.
Oh
So
my god! Come on, man.
I shit you not. I was sitting in the feeling well section with my daughter, who's one. She had to get a flu shot. 2 seats down was this kid that looked like he was about to die. It was like he looked
Oh my
deathly
God.
sick. And I was like, can you either put a barrier or a wall or some shit up? But like just putting a well and sick and like a chair separation is not stopping anybody. So hopefully I don't get anything. But that kid looks sick as hell. And I was like, this is the dumbest waiting room ever.
The best way to radicalize somebody is to just use the U.S. healthcare system. Because every experience I've had is like, this is not... So the other day, we took our boy to soccer,
Yeah.
and one of the kids broke his ankle. Like,
Ooh.
terrible break, like, snapped the shit. It
sucks.
was terrible. He was on the ground crying. They had to call the ambulance right away. But, like, so he broke his ankle. He's laying on the ground. They call the ambulance. The ambulance shows up in, let's say, 15 minutes, which right off the bat is like, that's how long it takes you, motherfuckers? 15 minutes?
Kind of long,
Like,
right?
that's a
Yeah.
long time,
Yeah.
right? Then when they show up, they park in the parking lot, and they walk, like, 80 yards to where the kid is laying on the ground. I'm like, you could just take the ambulance on the field. It's not like the field is wet and you're going to get stuck in the mud. Like, that shit is hard as a rock.
Drive that
Drive
shit
the
right on.
ambulance out on the field. Then they get out there, and they're talking to him and doing some shit for, like, 20 minutes with him laying on the ground.
Oh.
And I'm like, do we have any sense of urgency? This kid just snapped his leg, and you can't, like, hurry the fuck up a little bit and
Yeah.
maybe bring him right away and maybe administer whatever you got to administer and, like, get to work. And it was like, and when they parked the ambulance, they were just, like, walking to him. And it's like, can I get a little jog out of this shit? Like, what are you fucking doing? Because in your mind, when you're a kid, in your mind, you're like, if somebody gets sick or somebody's really hurt, like, the world stops, everybody goes into motion, and it's like, let's fucking fix this shit as quick as possible.
Yep.
Right? Like, go up to the hospital, boom, boom, you're right into the room, the doctor's right there. I've had enough experiences now where I know you can literally be sitting in the waiting room at the emergency room, bleeding like crazy on some shit, and they're like, fill out this form. And you're like, fill out this form. I watched a guy who could not breathe. He came into the emergency room. He couldn't breathe. His son was talking for his old dad. He can't breathe. And they go, fill out this form. And so the guy's like, what the fuck? He sits down, he fills it out quickly. He goes up, brings the thing back to him. And he's like, what's going on? He had to go back, sit down again, and wait. Eventually, like 3 minutes later, he gets up. He's like, he can't breathe.
Yeah, like he needs to go. Yeah.
We were like, oh, okay, come with us. And it's like, bro, this is not acceptable. Like, this is not acceptable. You got to hire more doctors. You got to hire more nurses. You got to give more people health care. You got to fix the procedures. Because right now, this shit is looking like some banana republic-ass country that can't do the most basic shit right. It's crazy.
I saw that at the U.S. Open. There was a guy like 2 rows behind me, and it was a hot day. The guy shouldn't have been out. He looked like he had some pacemaker shit on. Like, he looked like in bad shape. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, I think this dude's having a heart attack or something. Like, something's going on. Same, to your point, it took like 15 minutes before someone came up to his section. And same as you, lady was walking like she was out on a Sunday stroll. I was like, bitch, he's about to die. Eventually, they like took him out. But like, she's talking to him. I'm like, yo, you need to get him on some stretcher or something and keep him moving. Because if you keep talking to this dude, he's not going to have much longer. Eventually, she took him out, but I was like, yo, you guys are taking forever.
Yeah, they just like, they miss out on the most basic shit, right? Like, I'm not a medical expert. I know they know what they're doing medically and I don't, but I also know that this shit shouldn't be taking 12 minutes.
Yep.
Like, whatever you're going to do that shit right now.
Yep.
What are we waiting for? Hurry the fuck up.
Yep.
So, yeah, all right, we can wrap this bitch up, man. We're at 2 hours.
Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day to everybody out there. We're recording this on Veterans Day for those of you who don't know.
Yeah,
it's
true.
A couple. But everybody, I'll title this one about you get to rub in your Trump win prediction. You got it, man. By the way, now everybody, the final point here, but everybody who was right about everything in the past, now everybody has at least one miss. Like Michael Moore had predicted every election right. He got Trump 2016. He got Biden 2020. He predicted this time Kamala, and he lost. He also got the midterms right. He said 2022 the Democrats are going to win. It's not going to be a red wave, and he was right. This is the first miss he's had. First miss he's had. So now everybody's been wrong about something. Everybody who was right in the past is wrong now. Everybody who was wrong in the past is right now.
Yep.
So no more predictions, man. That's what I'm going to do.
Just let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I just don't know. Exactly. So, all right. Love you, brother. We'll talk to you guys later. Core, just hang on so that this shit can upload skis.